Chapter 1159. What do you want to say, Professor Kong? Tang Buichuan did not want to wait a second longer. He moved closer. Professor Kong turned around and looked at Tang Buichuan with a strange expression. This capsule. The drug in this capsule is not a special drug. It's amoxicillin. What? Tang Buichuan lost control of his emotions. He grabbed Professor Kang's collar and spat. That's impossible. Tell me this isn't real. Buichuan, calm down. The results of the instrument can't be wrong. Professor Kong said, actually, I already felt something was wrong when I opened it. It has the smell of amoxicillin. The instrument's analysis also shows that it's amoxicillin. Bastard. Tang Buichuan pushed Professor Kong away. Professor Kong lost his balance and fell to the ground. Tang Buichuan swept the device to the ground with his palm and then strode out of the door. Buichuan, where are you going? Zhang Yumei chased after him anxiously. As soon as the mother and son stepped out of the door, Tang Yunhai finally exploded. He roared and slammed his walking stick on the desk. The desk shook violently, and the surface of the desk instantly shattered. He's so arrogant. How dare he bully the Tang family? Oof. Tang Yunhai also left the door. He carried his walking stick and ran as fast as he could. Tang Tianlong hurriedly followed after him. Tang Buichuan arrived at Tang Yuyan's door. He didn't even bother to knock before kicking the door open. Zhang Yumei wanted to stop him, but before she could say anything, Tang Buichuan kicked the door open. In the room, Tang Yuyan was sitting at the head of the bed. Charlotte was braiding her hair. The couple turned a blind eye to Tang Buichuan and Zhang Yumei, who had just entered the house. They treated them like air. Tang Yunhai and Tang Tianlong also appeared at the door, but Charlotte still did not look at them. Charlotte concentrated on braiding Tang Yuyan's hair. Obviously, he was not very good at this. He braided 2 oxhorn braids for Tang Yuyan. The left braid was done, and he was braiding the right braid. Charlotte, you. Tang Buichuan had come to vent his anger, but when he saw how calm and composed Charlotte was, he didn't dare to vent his anger. Who was Charlotte? Charlotte was someone who could ask the chief for a special marriage license at any time. His Rema group was also an existence that the country was proud of. It was indispensable and played an irreplaceable role in the country's strategy. Now, who in China would dare to mess with Charlotte? Thinking of Yushanhe and Ling Hao's mistakes, Tang Buichuan lost his temper. At this moment, Charlotte was like Zhuge Liang in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. He sat calmly on the city gate tower and played the guqin. Sima Yi led thousands of troops, but didn't dare to make a move. However, this strange scene of peace was broken. The Tang family didn't dare to be angry at Charlotte, but they could be angry at Tang Yuyan. Yuyan, Tang Buichuan said angrily. Come out, let's talk. Tang Yuyan didn't move or say anything, but she was already nervous. Yuyan, Tang Yunhai called out. Come out for a moment. Tang Yuyan subconsciously looked at Charlotte. Charlotte straightened her head. Don't move. If you move, I won't be able to braid your hair properly. Charlotte, what do you mean? Tang Tianlong also said. Yuyan is the daughter of the Tang family. We are here to talk to her. You have no right to interfere. Talk. Charlotte smiled. You are here to vent your anger on her because of the wrong medicine, right? The expressions of the Tang family members changed. Tang Yuyan, come out. Tang Yunhai said angrily. You're a member of the Tang family. Even Charlotte can't protect you. Tang Yuyan was even more nervous. Don't move. I'll be done soon, Charlotte said. He continued to braid Tang Yuyan's hair. Under his hands, Tang Yuyan's hair turned into 2 horns. She looked like a little girl who was still in primary school. She was very cute. If she wore a school uniform, she would be even cuter. After being ignored by Charlotte again and again, Tang Yunhai could no longer control the anger in his heart. He suddenly strode towards Tang Yuyan and swung the crutch in his hand at Tang Yuyan's calf. Charlotte, who was kneeling on the bed and braiding Tang Yuyan's hair, grabbed Tang Yuyan's waist and pulled her onto the bed to avoid Tang Yunhai's crutch. Bang! Tang Yunhai's crutch hit the bed leg, and it broke. The entire bed shook and then tilted towards the broken leg. Tang Yuyan's tears flowed freely. Her grandfather was so cruel to her. If it wasn't for Charlotte pulling her, her leg would have been broken. Her leg wasn't broken, but her heart was broken. It was Tang Yunhai's crutch that destroyed the last bit of hope in her heart. "Come with me," Tang Yunhai shouted angrily, and then reached out to grab Tang Yuyin's hand. Charlotte pulled Tang Yuyin behind him and stood in front of Tang Yuyin. At the same time, he slapped away Tang Yunhai's hand. "You dare to fight with me here?" Tang Yunhai was so angry that he swung his crutch again. Charlotte didn't even bat an eyelid. His voice was cold. "Tang Yunhai, if you continue to be presumptuous, then we will be enemies." With just one sentence, the whole place froze. "If you continue to be presumptuous, then we will be enemies." The Tang family never lacked opponents or enemies, but none of them were as important as Charlotte. With Charlotte's current power, it wouldn't be difficult for him to destroy the Tang family. As long as he was willing to do it, he would eventually get the result he wanted. At this point, the Tang family members present were very clear in their hearts. Tang Yunhai's crutch hovered in the air, not daring to move forward even a centimeter. Charlotte continued, "You set a trap to steal my medicine. For Yin and for you to be able to live together as a family, I endured it. I was drugged by you, and my medicine was taken by you. What else do you want? It's fake." Tang Buochuan blurted out. Charlotte sneered. "Do you want me to replace it with the real thing?" Of course, Tang Buochuan wanted to. Even in his dreams, he wanted everything Charlotte had now, but he couldn't say it out loud. Charlotte took out a tray of amoxicillin capsules from his trouser pocket and casually threw it at Tang Buochuan's feet. "You can choose which one you like. My brother-in-law is generous enough, right?" "You." Tang Buochuan was humiliated, and he was furious. Only now did he realize where the stolen medicine came from, because one of the amoxicillin capsules on the tray had been taken away. "Fine, this matter is over. I won't pursue it further. But I have to tell you that I won't pursue it further because of Yu Yin. If you continue to harass Yu Yin and act presumptuously in front of me, then don't blame me for being rude," Charlotte said. "Do you think you can touch the Tang family just because you want to?" Tang Yunhai said coldly. However, he had already put down the crutch in his hand as he said such unyielding words. He just wanted to regain some face. Charlotte smiled and pointed at the multi-function watch on his wrist, saying, "This watch has a camera function. Everything you said and did to me has been recorded. Do you believe that I won't call the chief right now and send him what I took? I'll tell him that you really did steal my medicine and the blueprints for the Rema Group's strategic bomber." "You." Cold sweat suddenly appeared on Tang Yunhai's forehead. Charlotte was the scapegoat. It wasn't just a matter of getting a bump on his head. It was a super big scapegoat for destroying the Tang family. "Do you need me to make a call to prove it to you?" Charlotte took out his phone. "Don't." Zhang Yumei hurried over and grabbed Charlotte's hand. Son-in-law, my good son-in-law, please let us go for the sake of our families, Yu Yan. You can't make this call." The three men from the Tang family were stunned. For the entire night, they controlled the situation, using Tang Yuyin to suppress Charlotte, and even drugging Charlotte. But they never thought that they would be tricked by Charlotte from the beginning. More importantly, Xia Lei had tricked them in their own home, and they had to go beg Xia Lei in a subservient manner. They knew very well that as long as Charlotte made a call, the Tang family would fall into the abyss of eternal damnation. Charlotte's gaze swept over the three men from the Tang family, and he said indifferently, "Auntie, look, the three of them are still glaring at me like they want to eat me. You're making it very difficult for me. You know how I do things. I've always been ruthless and ruthless, leaving no future trouble." The three men from the Tang family couldn't help but tremble when they heard the words ruthless and ruthless. Zhang Yumei panicked. "Yuyin, say something, your man wants to..." She started crying. Tang Yuyin just stood behind Charlotte, silently crying. Her mind was still replaying the scene of Tang Yunhai hitting her with the crutch. Her heart had long been broken. How could she recover so quickly? Moreover, she believed that Charlotte would take care of everything. She just needed to stand behind him obediently, just like that night on De Wang's snow mountain. He would protect her from the storm and keep her safe. Most importantly, she was more willing to trust Charlotte than her family. Seeing that Tang Yin didn't say anything, Zhang Yumei retreated to Tang Tianlong's side and said, "Say something." Tang Tianlong's face was a combination of awkwardness, shame, anger, and all sorts of negative emotions. It was extremely complicated. Charlotte picked up the phone. Tang Tianlong's last line of defense collapsed. He braced himself and said, "Son-in-law, I apologize to you. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Charlotte's gaze shifted to Tang Buichuan again, his eyes as sharp as a knife. "Brother-in-law, Tang Buichuan didn't dare to look into Charlotte's eyes. He lowered his head and said, "I was wrong too. I'm sorry. Please, for Yiyan's sake, let this matter pass." Charlotte's gaze shifted to Tang Yunhai again. Tang Yunhai knew what Charlotte wanted, but for him to apologize, it was worse than killing him. Tang Yunhai hesitated, but Charlotte pulled Tang Yuyin to his side. Tang Yuyin lowered her head, not daring to look into her family's eyes. "Grandfather Tang, do you want me to make that call?" Charlotte asked. Tang Yunhai couldn't take it anymore. "Charlotte, and Yuyin, about what happened tonight? It was our fault. Please forgive us. I promise we won't do it again." Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. "Since you've apologized, I won't make the call, but I'll keep the video. If you bully Yuyin again, or do anything to hurt me, I'll send you to where you belong. Don't think I'm joking. I even dared to blow up the 7th Fleet, let alone your Tang family." Charlotte revealed his other side, which made the 3 men from the Tang family shudder. "Yuyin, let's go." Charlotte pulled Tang Yuyin's hand and walked towards the door. Tang Yuyin obediently followed Charlotte. When they reached the door, she turned around and glanced at her family. In that instant, it was as if she had cut off all ties and ushered in a new life. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Chapter 1160. A series of things passed, but it was only close to midnight. This was far from the time when the city slept. On the contrary, this was the most lively time. A Chevalier 15 stopped by a river. Charlotte got out of the car and held Tang Yuyin's hand as they walked along the sidewalk by the river. The streetlight shone on the two of them, blending their figures together. There was me and you and me. However, the way Tang Yuyin walked was a little strange. This was the price she had to pay for wanting a child, but she was in pain and happy. "Yuyin, you don't mind, do you?" Charlotte's voice broke the warmth and silence between the two of them. "They all have weddings, but you don't. I didn't even prepare a ring and a wedding dress for you, and I even made a scene at your house." Tang Yuyin's voice was very gentle. "Don't talk nonsense. It's my greatest happiness to be with you. I don't care about those things you said at all. Even if you take me to the countryside now, I'm willing to live a peaceful life." This meant that if she married a chicken, she would follow the chicken, and if she married a dog, she would follow the dog. "Do you still want to go back?" Charlotte asked her. Tang Yuyin was silent for a moment before saying, "I don't want to go back." Charlotte sighed. "That's fine. If you don't want to go back, then don't go back. If I'm not by your side, they will definitely vent their anger on you. I'm thinking about my grandfather's crutch. How could he be so cruel? I'm his granddaughter. Did he really want to break my leg? Your grandfather is that kind of person. I can see through him. He's the head of a big family, and your Tang family is a martial arts family. He probably has a kind of idea in his heart that he's the only one in the world, just like the ancient emperors or the martial arts masters in martial arts novels. No matter who it is, they have to respect him and serve his ambition. If we go against him, he doesn't dare to hit me, but he will hit you hard. Breaking your leg, I think, is a light punishment. You're the best to me." Tang Yuyin's eyes were filled with tenderness and dependence. "When my grandfather hit me, I suddenly remembered that night on Tavong Snow Mountain. In order to save me, you gave me everything and faced so many enemies alone. I felt that you were closer to me than my family." Charlotte smiled and hugged her shoulders. "Then we'll be family from now on." "Ouch!" Tang Yuyin suddenly cried out, and her walking posture became even more awkward. Charlotte stopped and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Is he hobbling?" Tang Yuyin's eyes were filled with desire, and then she rolled her eyes coquettishly. "How can you walk on such a flat ground? Idiot, it's all because of you." "It was my first time, but you were like a raging bull rushing over in..." Charlotte, after becoming husband and wife, and having the kind of relationship that a husband and wife would have before, Tang Yin's body was a little like a woman for the first time. She could say the words that she was ashamed to say in the past, although it was still a little embarrassing. Under a street lamp by the river, a young couple was kissing, and they were wearing a school uniform. The young man's hands were touching the girl's body, and it seemed like he could lose control at any time. The girl still maintained a certain degree of rationality. Every time a key part of her body was violated, she would stop the young man. Children nowadays are already like this at such a young age. Really? Tang Yuyin said. Charlotte said with a smile. We've all been through that age. I don't think it's anything. Who hasn't been impulsive at times? Tang Yuyin suddenly burrowed into Charlotte's arms, hooked her arms around his neck, and offered a kiss. She said she was impulsive, and she didn't want to restrain herself. Tonight was her wedding night. Do you want me to treat you like that young man? Charlotte's voice was full of temptation. Tang Yuyin nodded her head and said in a small voice, I'm yours. You can do whatever you want. Charlotte shifted his gaze to the young couple, but saw that the young man had already reached his hand into the girl's clothes. He couldn't help but laugh. Just as he was hesitating about whether or not to copy the young man's actions, the young man suddenly looked over and said fiercely, Hey, there's already someone here. Go somewhere else. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. He hadn't been treated like this in a long time, and he had almost forgotten how it felt. Tang Yuyin frowned. She was in the middle of a passionate moment, and after being shouted at by the young man, her mood was instantly ruined. She looked at the young man and considered whether she should go over and kick him into the river. You're still looking? Do you believe that I won't beat you up? The young man let go of the girl and rolled up his sleeves, looking as if he was ready to fight. This guy, hubby, give me a minute. I'll go deal with it. Tang Yuyin said. Charlotte pulled her out. Forget it. It's just a kid. There's no need to lower yourself to his level. Let's go home. Tang Yuyin said. Can we not go back tonight? Tonight is the day we get married. I want you to belong to me tonight. Okay? Charlotte nodded his head. Then let's go to the hotel. No, let's go to that car. It's big enough to be our new house. Tang Yuyin said. All right, let's go to the car. Charlotte carried Tang Yuyin and carried her to the night 15 parked by the river. That car would become his and Tang Yuyin's new house. Tang Yuyin buried her head in Charlotte's neck and quietly looked at her man. She had imagined hundreds of her weddings, but she never thought that there would be one like this. First, she was kicked out of the house, and then they had to consummate their marriage in a car. However, she was happy and blissful. By the river, the young man put down his rolled-up sleeves. Oomph. If those two idiots don't leave, I'll beat them up. The girl looked at the young man with shining eyes. You look so cool just now. The young man hugged the girl and started what they were doing just now. This time, the girl didn't stop him. The next morning, Charlotte drove Tang Yuyin to the neighborhood. As Charlotte's wife, she went to meet Charlotte's other 4 wives. Tang Yuyin couldn't help but feel awkward and nervous. She didn't know what to say or what to do. Fan Fan walked to Tang Yuyin's side and handed 2 red marriage certificates to Tang Yuyin. She said with a smile, Last night, the chief sent someone to send it over. Welcome to the bad guys' family. Fan Fan's words made the awkward atmosphere between the women disappear. Long Bing hugged Tang Yuyin's shoulder and whispered, I can tell from the way you walk that you must have had a hard time last night, right? Tang Yuyin's face suddenly turned red, and she gently hit Long Bing. Liang Xiao walked over and said with a smile, We quarreled before, and I was a bit against you. Now that we are a family, let's let bygones be bygones, okay? Tang Yuyin nodded and opened her arms to give Liang Xiao a hug. The 2 women collided with each other and squeezed each other. The scene of the hug made people have a nosebleed. Jiang Rui walked over with Xia Jianghe in her arms. Jianghe, call me Wunyang. However, Xia Jianghe stretched out her chubby little hands and muttered, Hug da hug. Oh, you're so good. Jianghe, come, let me hug you. Tang Yuyin reached out and hugged Xia Jianghe. Wunyang, feed me. Xia Jianghe reached out to touch Tang Yuyin's clothes. Tang Yuyin was stunned. Jiang Rui patted Xia Jianghe's little butt and said, You only know how to eat. All my milk has been eaten by your father. There's nothing for you to eat. Charlotte was also stunned. Tang Yuyin's face turned red. She didn't expect that the women Charlotte married first were so fierce. Charlotte coughed awkwardly and said, Rui, you know how smart our child is. You can't talk like this in the future. You'll lead the child astray. Jiang Rui said, You're fighting for milk with the child in front of the child. Aren't you afraid of leading the child astray? Charlotte was speechless. Fan Fan said, Don't worry about the child. The child has so many mothers. We can teach them ourselves, and we don't need you to teach them. Last night, I taught Xia Jianghe how to write. She memorized 100 Chinese characters in one breath, and she can also write 100 Chinese characters. She has a photographic memory. Maybe she already knows how bad you are. Charlotte was speechless. Tang Yuyin couldn't help imagining the picture of Charlotte and the child fighting for milk. The picture was too messy to look at. Long Bing pulled Tang Yuyin aside and quietly gave her a small glass bottle. Tang Yuyin asked curiously, What is it? Long Bing whispered in her ear, It's the antidote for pregnancy. If you want to have a child, use some of this antidote. It was developed by Fan Fan. Without it, no matter how hard you try, you can't have Charlotte's child. Tang Yuyin then put the small glass bottle in her pocket and said, Thank you. Don't mention it. If you need help, you can tell me. I'll help you, Long Bing said. Then, how can I help? Tang Yuyin's brain automatically filled in the relevant picture. When the picture appeared, she couldn't take it anymore and shook her head. No need, no need. Long Bing patted Tang Yuyin's shoulder and said in a tone of experience, We thought the same as you in the beginning, but now we sleep together most of the time. He's so strong. Can you stand it? Tang Yuyin's brain suddenly had a train running. Damn. Bing, now even you want to say bad things about me? Do you believe that I won't spank you? Charlotte said unhappily. Long Bing smiled sweetly, looking extremely charming and charming. Xiaolong suddenly grabbed an excavator and smashed it on Charlotte's foot. Charlotte looked at his son at his feet and was speechless. Tang Yuyin officially married into the Xia family. Although the Xia family's welcoming ceremony was a bit different, she still quickly integrated into it and found the feeling of home. The day passed in a lively atmosphere, and night came. Tang Yuyin was worried that something chaotic would happen, but it didn't happen. Charlotte was with her, and she used the antidote. When it was almost dawn, Charlotte received a call from Giovanna. Boss, something happened. Can you come out for a while? Giovanna said. What's the situation? Charlotte asked. Someone sent a package. It's for you, Giovanna said. Where? Who sent it? Holy Thunder Church. A villager gave it to one of our brothers. The villager said that someone gave him money to send it. At that time, that person was sitting in a car. He didn't see that person's face, Giovanna said. I'll be right there. Charlotte hung up the phone. Under the quilt, Tang Yuyin mumbled something, but she didn't wake up. The thin blanket was slanted on her back. A snow-white arm was exposed to the air and a pair of snow-white long legs. She didn't need to do anything to entice people to commit crimes. Charlotte's gaze swept over her body. His heart was calm. Then he quietly went out. Who sent what package? He didn't know, but he had a feeling that a new battle would come soon. For his woman and child, for Rima Group and this country, he must fight. Chapter 1161. Night 15 stopped in front of the Holy Thunder Church. Charlotte got out of the car and went straight into the church. In the secret room of the church, the members of the Zodiac Squad and the 4 female knights were all there. There was a package on the conference table in the secret room, but it was not opened. Akiko Tsukino looked at Charlotte with warm eyes. She felt that Charlotte was like a human-shaped delicacy. It wasn't that she didn't know that Tang Yuyin had also become Xia Lei's wife, but she wasn't jealous at all. She and the women around Charlotte were from 2 different worlds. The life they had now was not suitable for her, and she did not want to have it. What she wanted was to be with Charlotte, sometimes a passionate release like a wildfire. Their eyes met, and Charlotte smiled at Akiko Tsukino. There was no unnatural feeling in his heart. Wife and woman were 2 different concepts, and he could distinguish them clearly. I have asked people in the lab to scan it. There is a mobile phone in it. Erdamu said, There is no explosive device, and there is no poisonous gas. After the scan was completed, Giovanna called you. If there was a problem with the package, such as a bomb or poisonous gas, they would dispose of the package and then call Charlotte to explain. They would not let Charlotte take the risk. In fact, when Charlotte came, he had already seen the contents of the package. He did not see any explosive device or poisonous gas in the package, but only a mobile phone. At this time, he locked his eyes on the package and awakened the ability of his left and right eyes. He used his X-ray to scan the mobile phone in the package. It was a new type of satellite phone. The parts inside were also normal mobile phone parts, and there were no special parts. Who would go through so much trouble to send a mobile phone? Charlotte thought about this in his heart. Do you want me to open it? Erdamu asked. Charlotte said, let me do it. But before Charlotte could do anything, Erdamu had already cut open the package with a paper knife, then took out the satellite phone from the package and handed it to Charlotte. Charlotte knew very well that he was worried about some hidden danger, so he rushed to open the package. His heart was filled with gratitude, but he didn't need to say thank you. The battery of the satellite phone was still charged. After waking up, Charlotte found a number in the contact list. He hesitated, then dialed the number. A few seconds later, the call was connected, and a strange voice came from the satellite phone. Breathe, breathe. Charlotte's expression suddenly became solemn. This was not the first time he had received a call like this. Be it the black-robed man, prehistoric one, or Zhu Xianyue, they had always started the call like this. Judging from the voice, it was prehistoric one who was calling. Prehistoric one was still alive. Among the 3 important targets he bombed, Kirsten and prehistoric one were still alive, so Zhu Xianyue must still be alive. This was the worst situation he needed to face. If he had known this would happen, he would never have piloted the B-2 strategic bomber to bomb the AE Research Center. Based on the situation at that time, neither prehistoric only nor Zhu Xianyue would have attacked him. However, after he had thrown so many bombs over their heads, would the 2 of them still be polite to him? Breathe, breathe. The voice on the satellite phone was still the same. Charlotte said in a deep voice, tell me, what do you want? Prehistoric one's voice finally came. Charlotte, are you surprised that I'm still alive? Charlotte said, why should I be surprised? I didn't do what happened in Area 51. You didn't do it? Prehistoric one sneered. The only person in this world who has the ability to bomb Area 51 is you, Charlotte. Who else could it be but you? There was no shortage of people in the Middle East who wanted to bomb the United States, but they had only succeeded once, and the target was a civilian target, which was the World Trade Center Twin Towers. The terrorists in the Middle East didn't even dare to think about a target like Area 51. In fact, there was no need to investigate any evidence. The answer could be guessed from this point alone. It was Charlotte. Charlotte was silent for a moment before saying, if you want to retaliate against me, you can come to me. That matter has nothing to do with my family. You dare to take responsibility for what you did. That's good. Prehistoric one's voice said, I said that I will kill you, but that will be after I give you 3 years. Xiaolei's heart sank slightly. Of the 3 years, there was only a little more than a year left. His current situation was equivalent to a suspended death sentence. I won't kill you now, but I'm not sure if she will kill you. Although the bombs you dropped didn't kill her, they ruined her plan. Xiaolei recalled the 6 alloy containers in the AE Research Center, as well as the extremely pure white liquid that was extracted from the 6 faceless 50 statues. Those things couldn't have survived such a violent explosion. After a short silence, he said, where is she now? I don't know. I'm also looking for her. Prehistoric one's voice said, if you know where she is, you can call this number. Was this the purpose of prehistoric one's call? Charlotte didn't say anything. He just listened. If you cooperate with me, you can live for more than a year. But if you wait for her to recover, she will immediately come to kill you. Prehistoric one's voice said, not only you, but also your family, and your Rema group will be destroyed by her. Charlotte's heart was filled with anger and a sense of powerlessness. Do you know? The United States has now launched the Dragon Slayer program, and Lockheed Martin Corporation will build an unprecedented fighter jet. I know about their Dragon Slayer program, but I'm not worried at all, Charlotte said. He was confident that he could suppress Lockheed Martin Corporation's Dragon Slayer fighter jet. If you think that, then you're wrong. Prehistoric One's voice said. What I want to tell you is that the fighter jet was made from the materials of the 6 warrior statues. That material is no worse than the secret gold X you produce, or even better. Also, I'm guessing that the design of the fighter jet came from Isotab. She is helping the United States. Isotab, that was Zhu Xuanyue's Zhenming, the goddess of suicide in the Mayan language. This was a name that sent chills down one's spine. Zhu Xuanyue was helping the United States? If this was true, then it would be a huge problem. Why are you telling me this? Charlotte said. We have never been friends, and I will never be your ally. I just don't want her to play you to death. You will die, but you have to die by my hands. Prehistoric One's voice said. Also, I'm telling you this to give you enough pressure to eat that AE capsule. You're already considering whether or not to eat it, right? You're wrong. I'm not considering it at all. That means I'm not giving you enough pressure. I will continue to give you pressure. At this point, Prehistoric One hung up the phone. Charlotte wanted to smash the phone to the ground, but he didn't do that. Boss, who called? Qianjun asked. Charlotte hesitated for a moment before saying, Since you're all here today, I'll tell you something. I promised you that one day I would tell you the truth. I think it's more appropriate now. It's time to let you know the truth. Everyone's eyes focused on Charlotte. They had been following Charlotte through fire and water all this time, so they had the right to know the truth. But for some unknown reason, before Xia Lei even opened his mouth, everyone felt a formless pressure. The atmosphere in the secret room also seemed particularly depressing and tense. I have to start from Haizhu. At that time, I was just a poor boy who opened a small workshop on the street. Charlotte's voice continued unhurriedly. The starting point of everything was that compass. Then, the compass led to the ancient alloy box. Finally, the ancient alloy box led to the holy relic and armor of the Knights Hospitaller. Finally, it led to the crystal skull and the faceless warrior statue. Of course, the ones who spoke the most were Zhu Xuanyue and Prehistoric One. Charlotte spent a full half an hour to finish talking about everything he had experienced and related speculations. When Charlotte finished, the secret room was still silent. The atmosphere in the secret room became even more depressing and tense. There was not just one undefeatable opponent, but 2. The goddess of suicide, Isetabu, also known as Zhu Xuanyue, and the Prehistoric One, were like 2 mountains that made it hard for people to breathe. Whether it was the members of the Zodiac Squad or the 4 female knights, they could calmly face the FA organization, the CIA, and even the Special Forces of the United States. But they could not face Zhu, Xuanyue, and Prehistoric One because they were not on the same level at all. Charlotte said, This is the truth I want to tell you. I don't know when Prehistoric One or Zhu Xuanyue will come here to seek revenge on me, or even kill people to vent their anger. If any of you want to leave, I won't stop you. I will provide him with a severance of $100 million, which is enough for him to enjoy the world. $100 million? Wow, that sounds tempting. Simon said, but I won't take it. You're in great danger now. How can we disband at this time? I don't want it either. Engumi Khan said, I insist on staying. If you have to give me $100 million, then I will accept it. As soon as his voice fell, Yelena slapped the back of his head. Shut up if you don't know how to talk, or I'll break up with you. Engumi Khan seemed to want to say something, but then he closed his mouth. Giovanna drew across. We are your knights, and we share the same fate with you. We will not leave you, because it goes against our knight's creed. I don't want to hear that. Don't say it again, Qianjun said. Akiko Tsukino said, I will leave you, but that will be after I die. Erdamu shrugged. Boss, people have to die sooner or later. I'm willing to die for you. So, don't say that again. No one was willing to leave. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I'm not testing your loyalty by doing this, but I can't protect myself. If I stay, I may die. Shouldn't you think about it? I'm going to the bathroom. Erdamu turned around and left. I also remember that I have something to do. I'll deal with it. Giovanna also wanted to leave. Charlotte shrugged. Well, stop acting. I won't say it anymore, okay? The people who were about to leave stopped. But at this moment, Erdemu's cell phone rang. He answered the phone, and his expression suddenly changed. He said, "Boss, something happened in the company." Chapter 1162. Our colleagues in the security department said that two people wanted to jump off the building, and now they have climbed to the rooftop of the office building. Erdemu said as he walked. Did the people from the security department mention the reason? Xiaolei asked as he walked. Erdemu said, they didn't say, it happened very suddenly. They should still be investigating. Walking out of the Holy Thunder Church, Charlotte's line of sight instantly crossed hundreds of meters and locked onto the Rema Group's office building in the capital. The office building was the tallest building in this area, and there were no obstacles blocking it. At a glance, he saw two employees standing in the office building. The two men looked very young. After discovering the target, Charlotte ran to the Rema Group. He soon arrived at the Rema Group's headquarters in the capital. This was also the first time he came to the company after returning from the United States. His appearance made many people show a relieved expression. Director Xia. Lu Sheng saw Charlotte running and followed to greet him. Those two guys, for some reason, are shouting about jumping off the building to commit suicide. No matter how I persuade them, it doesn't work. I've already called the fire department and informed their families so that they can come and persuade them. Got it, I'll go and persuade them first and calm them down. You evacuate the crowd below. Don't let them crowd together. This will put pressure on the suicidal people, Charlotte said, and then enter the office building. Lu Sheng began to evacuate the crowd, and Charlotte went to the rooftop. Do you recognize me? Charlotte slowly walked to the two young employees. While talking to divert their attention, I'm Charlotte, your boss. What difficulties have you encountered? Tell me. I'll definitely help you solve it. Whether it's a money problem or a relationship problem, believe me, I can help you solve it. At this time, the two young employees standing on the edge of the rooftop turned their heads to look at Charlotte and turned back at the same time, a very strange synchronized reaction. When they turned their heads, Charlotte's heart sank sharply. He didn't see the eyes of a normal person, but the eyes of a zombie. The two young employees' eyes didn't have the slightest vitality. They looked so dull, numb, and empty, as if they had lost their souls. Charlotte, this is the pressure I'm giving you. One of the young employees suddenly said, he said this, then turned his head and jumped. Suddenly, there was a scream downstairs, and then there was the dull sound of a heavy object hitting the ground. This change caught Charlotte off guard, but he understood that the two young employees didn't want to commit suicide because of money or relationship problems, but because someone controlled their brains. The remaining young said, Charlotte, have you thought it through? If not, I'll give you more pressure to help you make a decision. Next time, the one standing on the roof won't be an ordinary employee, but the person you love the most. After that, the remaining young employee also jumped and slammed into the concrete ground below. His head cracked open, and brain matter and blood splattered all over the ground. Charlotte was still standing there in a daze, his head buzzing. He knew very well what had happened. Judging from the messages left by the two young employees who committed suicide, the person who had just committed suicide was not Zhu Xianyue, but the prehistoric chosen one. The two young employees who committed suicide were just a warning. He wouldn't be able to take it the next time. Doot, doot, doot. Doot, doot, doot. The satellite phone in his hand suddenly rang. It was the satellite phone given to him by the prehistoric chosen one. Charlotte picked up the phone and roared, Bastard! What the hell are you trying to do? Do you know what I'm trying to do? Did you receive my message? Do what you have to do. You can't go against my will. Do you think you're in control of everything? No, you're wrong. I'm the one in control. I've always been the one in control, not you. The prehistoric chosen one's voice was cold and ruthless, with a hint of contempt and mockery. Charlotte's eyes quickly scanned his surroundings. The onlookers downstairs, the people in the workshop in the distance, and even the people outside of Rema Group did not escape his eyes. He had a feeling that the prehistoric chosen one was nearby, but he did not see him. I'll give you another 24 hours. If you still haven't made up your mind, the next person standing on the roof or lying on the tracks won't be your employee. It'll be your woman. With that, The prehistoric chosen one hung up the phone. The call was over, but Charlotte was still standing on a rooftop and did not move for a long time. Yes, he knew very well what the prehistoric chosen one wanted. He wanted him to eat the last AE capsule and enter a full-blown evolution. He had been hesitant all this time. The most direct reason for his hesitation was that the enemy was racking their brains to get him to do something. Would it be a good thing? Another reason was that eating the last AE capsule would allow him to enter a full-blown evolution. In the end, he would become like Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric chosen one. He would become a body of energy with no temperature and need to eat humans to survive. He could not accept the fact that his beloved woman and child could not touch his body, let alone eat humans. He would turn into a demon after eating the last AE capsule. Perhaps the process would take longer than Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric chosen one, but it was destined to happen. What puzzled him even more was that not only did the prehistoric chosen one want him to eat the last AE capsule, but even Zhu Xianyue wanted him to eat the last AE capsule. Why was that? Charlotte's mind kept thinking about this question, but he could not come up with an answer. The police and the fire department had arrived, but what awaited them was no longer the work of laying out inflatable mattresses to save people, but the corpses. The family members of the two young employees had also arrived. One of them had just gotten married, and his wife was crying her eyes out with a big belly. Even the parents of the other one had white hair and were grieving in front of their son's body. The most painful thing in the world was to send off one's own child. However, such a tragedy was happening right before Charlotte's eyes. He had the ability to blow up the 7th Fleet of the United States, and he also had the ability to blow up Area 51, but he did not have the ability to stop 2 employees from jumping off a building. An unprecedented sense of frustration spread through Charlotte's body, but at the same time, a monstrous anger and hatred took root and sprouted in his heart. "I'll make you pay for this." "Definitely," Charlotte said through gritted teeth. His face looked ferocious. Despite the incident, Thunder Horse Organization wasn't affected too much. Charlotte gave each of the victims a pension of $8 million. Although money could not solve the pain of losing a loved one, Charlotte could not think of anything else he could give the families of the 2 victims. The families of the 2 victims did not cause trouble because they jumped off of their own accord. Charlotte also gave them a pension of $8 million, which was undoubtedly the highest in the country. After dealing with the deceased, Charlotte stayed at Rema Group. He went to the drone workshop and saw Nina and Sylvia. He chatted with them for 2 hours. In addition to chatting, he also learned some information about drone production from them. With the intervention of national forces, the production of Alloy X was relatively smooth. During the time he was away, Rema Group produced 2 more Ghost drones and 8 more Jinka drones. In addition, modified versions of Alloy X anti-ship missiles and air-to-air missiles were produced. This was the style of China, and it was also very China. In addition, Rema Group's expansion never stopped. The new factory was under construction 24 hours a day, and the relevant equipment and personnel were also being produced and recruited across the country. Charlotte had the ambition to surpass Lockheed Martin Corporation, and China needed it even more. After work, Charlotte had dinner with Anina and Sylvia, but nothing happened between them. After dinner, he left the Peace Mansion and drove back to his new home. Tang Yuyin came back almost at the same time as Charlotte. She was still the director of the Department of 101 Innings and still had a lot of work to do. When Charlotte got out of his car, she also got out of her military off-road vehicle. The 2 of them walked home together. "Honey, I've got news," Tang Yuyin said. 2 Rema Group employees committed suicide today. "What happened?" Charlotte hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he did not tell her the truth. "I don't know the reason, but I've dealt with it. By the way, be careful during this time. If you don't want to go to work, you can stay at home." The truth was that the prehistoric chosen one had manipulated the brains of the 2 young employees and even threatened his wife and child. How could he casually reveal such a thing? If he revealed it, not only would it not solve the problem, but it would also make them panic. Tang Yuyin said, "I can't resign for the time being, but I'll consider it. If..." She smiled. If I'm pregnant with your child and you want me to be a full-time housewife, then you'll have to work hard. What a heartwarming and seductive confession. Charlotte's stress and depression were greatly reduced by her smile and words. However, this also made Charlotte even more reluctant to reveal the truth. He did not want to put them under such unbearable pressure, and he did not want to destroy the happy and harmonious atmosphere of this family. Charlotte also forced a smile on his face. How about we work hard together tonight? Tang Yuyin really wanted to, but she said, No, I've been hogging you every night. Xiao and the rest will definitely complain. Then let's sleep together. It'll be very lively, Charlotte said. Tang Yuyin was speechless. She remembered what Long Bing said to her. Sooner or later, she would sleep on the same bed as them. She did not dare to imagine that scene. When the two entered, Jiang Rui, who was wearing an apron, said, You're back. It's time for dinner. I've made 3 whipped soup today. Hubby, you should drink more. Charlotte frowned. Why did you make that soup? Jiang Rui said, It's for our Yu Yin to become a mother earlier. It'll be more fun when the 5 children play together. Charlotte was speechless. Did he need that kind of nourishing soup? He did not need it all, but he still had to drink the soup that Jiang Rui made for him. Tang Yuyin blushed. As a first-time housewife, she obviously could not be compared to Jiang Rui, who was on the battlefield. She was still very shallow in that aspect. She said, Rui, I'll sleep alone tonight. How can that be? Jiang Rui said. I can't always monopolize him, Tang Yuyin said. Special circumstances require special treatment. Liang Xiao's voice came. She stood at the door of the dining room, wearing an apron. We've discussed it. I'll give you 1 week. 1 week is enough for you to become a mother. This, Tang Yin's heart was moved. Long Bing also came out of the dining room. We all have weddings, but you don't. This is your compensation. Tang Yuyin spat. I don't want that kind of compensation. If you can't stand it, we can help you. Fan Fan also came out of the dining room. She held a bowl of soup in her hand and walked straight to Charlotte. Charlotte quickly took a step back. No. Tang Yuyin was also nervous. He's already so fierce, and you're still giving him this kind of soup. Do you want me to be unable to get out of bed? One is marked by the company one keeps. Tang Yuyin was obviously slightly infected. The dining room was filled with laughter. Xiaolei was smiling too, but he couldn't bring himself to smile at all. The prehistoric chosen one had given him 24 hours. He needed to make a final decision in this time. Chapter 1163. The light in the room was dim, and so was Tang Yuyin. Under the light, the half-wet towel on her body was like a mist that was about to evaporate under the sun. It clung tightly to her skin, revealing her exquisite and curvaceous body. Her plump and firm breasts, her slender and soft waist, and her round and perky buttocks were all alluring. There was also the most important person. She was hazy, between being vaguely visible and difficult to see clearly. That temptation could really make people have the urge to commit a crime. The Xiao family's 5th mother came out of the bath, and the Xiao family's men stared blankly. In that short period of time, Charlotte's brain forgot about Zhu Xianyue, as well as the prehistoric one and the last AE capsule. In his eyes, there was only his woman and all her beauty. Tang Yuyin rubbed her hair with a towel. Her long legs moved, as she walked towards Charlotte with cat-like steps. Her gaze was locked on Charlotte, and her eyes were scorching, as if they could melt everything. As she walked, her small waist swayed, and her perky buttocks showed a kind of soul-stirring rhythm. If she walked for Victoria's Secret, she would undoubtedly become the queen of the runway. Tang Yuyin stopped in front of Charlotte, and she threw a flirtatious look at Charlotte. What are you looking at? Is there anything else you haven't seen? Charlotte smiled. Yes. Where? Tang Yuyin's lips curled into a smile. Everything, Charlotte said. Tang Yuyin raised a pair of slender arms and placed them on Charlotte's shoulders. Then she pushed him down. Since it's everything, then I'll give everything to you. The two of them were entangled. Oh, I forgot about the antidote. You did it on purpose, right? No, what happened just now doesn't count. For the birth of Charlotte's 5th baby, Tang Yuyin was going all out. Passion and exhaustion are twins. After the passion, Tang Yuyin fell into a deep sleep. There was a satisfied and joyful smile on her face. Charlotte got up at that moment and left Tang Yuyin's room. He went to the underground secret chamber. Closing the door, the basement was immersed in darkness. The dim light and stuffy air made one feel like they were inside a tomb. Charlotte went straight to the safe, opened it, and took out a small box. The box contained the last AE capsule. Tonight, he had to make a decision whether to eat the last AE capsule or not. But no matter which decision it was extremely difficult for him. Eat it and become a demon. If they didn't eat it, their wives and children would become the prehistoric targets, and they wouldn't even have the slightest ability to fight back. Charlotte longed for power, but the price of power was becoming a demon. And this was the inevitable final result. The last E capsule lay quietly in the box, and Charlotte stared at it. 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour. He couldn't feel the existence of time, and his brain was constantly repeating everything that happened. In a moment, all the sorting stopped. Charlotte took out the satellite phone and dialed the only number saved in the contact list. 10 seconds later, the phone was connected and a voice was heard. "Breathe, breathe," Charlotte said. "Are you listening?" "I am." The only voice from prehistoric times was heard. "I think you have made a decision, right?" Charlotte said, "Yes, I have made a decision. I will eat the last AE capsule, but I have a condition." "You dare to talk to me about conditions?" "Of course, even if you are a god, I will still talk to you about conditions, not to mention that you are not." Charlotte's voice was very cold. "In addition, I need you to promise me that you will not touch anyone around me, especially my wife and children. Especially my wife and children. If you dare to touch even a hair on them, what will you do?" The only voice from prehistoric times interrupted Charlotte. Charlotte didn't say anything, but his heart was burning with a monstrous rage. "I've told you before, you're not the one in control. I'm the one in control. You are an unparalleled hero in your country, but in my eyes, you are just a pitiful worm. I can step on you like a worm at any time. So, you have no right to make any conditions here." The only voice from prehistoric times was heard. A sneer appeared on Charlotte's lips. "Is that so? You can destroy everything I have, but I can also destroy everything you have. If you don't agree to my conditions, I will throw everything into the space of the world box. I don't know if you're afraid of the world inside the world box, but I know that Zhu Xianwei used to be very afraid. I will give you everything related to the fish, the compass, the crystal skull, and the last AE capsule. I wonder if you have the guts and ability to go in and take them out?" "Breathe, breathe." The only voice from prehistoric times was not human, but his voice contained killing intent and anger. "There is nothing in this world that is invulnerable. You have your weaknesses too." After a pause, Charlotte said, "How about it? Can I state my conditions now?" The only voice from prehistoric times was silent for a moment before saying, "Go ahead, but I'm warning you, don't go overboard." Charlotte said, "My conditions are very simple. Protect my wife and children, and don't let Zhu Xianwei have a chance to hurt them. Before I die in your hands, they cannot be hurt, and Rema Group cannot be attacked by Zhu Xianwei." Charlotte, the only voice from prehistoric times, roared, "I warned you, don't go overboard. This is just a small matter for you. I don't think I'm going overboard. If you promise me, I will eat the last AE capsule now and let everything go according to your plan. If you refuse, I won't be able to ensure the safety of my wife and children. I would rather destroy everything. In any case, Zhu Xianwei will come to take revenge on me. My wife and children are gone, and I have no interest in living anymore." Charlotte did not think much of the only threat from prehistoric times at all. This was the result of an hour of super brain combing and analysis. If there was something in this world that could restrain prehistoric times and Zhu Xianwei, it would be the ancient alloy box, the world box. When Zhu Xianwei was still a remnant soul, she had already shown her fear of the world box. Prehistoric times and Zhu Xianwei were both existences that had reached the peak of evolution, so they were the same. How could prehistoric times not be afraid of something that Zhu Xianyue was afraid of? The prehistoric only cared about whether he ate the last AE capsule or not. Although it was not clear what the prehistoric only's ultimate goal was, if he threw the last capsule that the prehistoric only cared about into the world box, his script would come to an end. Didn't you control everything? It was like a king descending to the world, like a god descending to the world. But even a bug could find your weakness and bite you. Do you agree? Charlotte said. I'll give you 3 minutes to think about it. You want me to be your bodyguard? You control everything about me. In your eyes, I'm just a bug. How can a bug have the right to be your bodyguard? My understanding is that I'm your property, and you have the responsibility to protect your property from damage. Charlotte said, 3 minutes is not a lot. You better think about it quickly. Otherwise, when I throw the crystal skull and the last AE capsule into the world box, it will be too late for you to regret it. There was no sound from the satellite phone. Even the breathing sound that sounded like a business card had disappeared. Charlotte's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Even though he had found prehistoric time's weakness, he could not prove that he was right. He was gambling. He was gambling with everything he had. If he was right, he could protect his wife and child, and he could protect the Rema group, giving him time to breathe and a chance to turn the tables. 2 minutes later, prehistoric time's voice finally came from the satellite phone. I promise you that before you die, I will protect your wife and child, as well as your Rema group. But you also have to promise me that if you have any information related to Isotab, you'll have to use this phone to tell me. Otherwise, I won't be able to protect the target that you want to protect. It's a deal, Xia Lei said. Then what are you waiting for? Prehistoric time's voice came. Can I trust you? Do you have any other choice? Charlotte grabbed the last AE capsule in the box, put it in his mouth, and swallowed it. Yes, he had no other choice. He had forced prehistoric times to promise him, but it was only a verbal promise with no guarantee. But other than choosing to trust prehistoric time's promise, he had no other choice. In fact, he would rather cooperate with Zhu Xianyue, because there were 2 women who loved him deeply inside Zhu Xuanyue's body. She was less dangerous to him. But to Zhu Xianyue, he had no more value. More importantly, Zhu Xuanyue's plan was to use the energy extracted from the 6 faceless warrior statues to build a channel and summon more of her kind to this world. Zhu Xuanyue's script was to destroy and conquer this world. Whoever stood in her way would die. But he was standing in Zhu Xuanyue's way. In this kind of situation, how could he cooperate with Zhu Xianyue? The last capsule slid down his throat into his stomach, and a strange cold feeling spread from his stomach. Charlotte had taken the same capsule 11 times, but none of them were the same as this one. The previous 11 times, although there was a cool feeling every time he took it, the feeling was like eating an ice cream on a hot summer day, but the feeling would disappear very quickly. But this time, it was getting stronger and spread throughout his body. In his body, the hidden mysterious energy suddenly awakened. It flowed in his brain, in his blood, in every cell, and combined with the medicine that had just entered his body. Cold. An indescribable coldness ran rampant in his body, and then spread to the surface. A minute later, Charlotte's clothes started to stiffen, and after absorbing the remaining moisture in the air, they started to solidify. How could this be? Charlotte's heart was filled with fear. The medicine continued to flow in his blood, reaching every organ and every cell. The mysterious energy that was lurking in his body became stronger as it absorbed more and more medicine, and a feeling of hunger was born. It was this feeling of hunger that made Charlotte feel fear, because he knew very well what he wanted to eat. Everyone had a demon lurking in their body, and now the demon lurking in his body had awakened. Was this the prehistoric one's goal? But what good would it do to the prehistoric one after he became a demon? This thought popped up in his mind, but before he could think too much about it, his brain shook, and then darkness swept over him. His body fell from the chair, and he never got up again. Chapter 1164. For people who were asleep or unconscious, the passage of time was insensible. After an unknown amount of time, Charlotte's hands trembled and he opened his eyes. His clothes had returned to normal, but his body was still a little stiff. That was because of the cold. There was still a chill in his body that came from the bones, which made him very uncomfortable. However, when he opened his eyes and saw that his body was still there, Charlotte's heart was immediately relieved. When he ate the last AE capsule, he was worried that there would be a violent reaction similar to a chemical reaction and that his body would disappear in some violent reaction. Now it seemed that this worry was unnecessary. Evolution was slow. Although he had already eaten the last AE capsule and started a comprehensive evolution, that kind of evolution couldn't be the peak evolution in one go. It required a process. Although he wasn't sure how long this process would take, he believed that it would definitely not be completed in a short time. Charlotte struggled to get up from the ground and then left the underground secret room. The sky was still dark. A round moon hung in the distant sky, emitting a weak and cold moonlight. This light, without paying attention, illuminated the world. Charlotte looked up at the moon in the sky. He didn't know why, but a feeling of loneliness welled up in his heart. He had never felt like this before. He had 5 beautiful and sexy wives and 4 smart and adorable children. He also had brothers and sisters in the Zodiac Squad and the Rescue Society. They treated him with sincerity and lived and died together. He had so much. He shouldn't have felt like this. But it did, and it came so suddenly. Could this feeling of loneliness be a sign that he was about to leave his women and children, and even this world? He didn't know the answer. At this moment, he was really lonely. He returned to Tang Yuyin's room. The temperature in the room and the elegant body fragrance from Tang Yuyin's body made him feel a little better. He looked at Tang Yuyin, who was sleeping on the bed with a snow-white face and a big wet pillow. He couldn't help but think of the things he had experienced with her. His eyes were very gentle. Tang Yuyin didn't wake up. She seemed to be having a wonderful dream. There was still a sweet and satisfied smile on her lips. From her smile, it was not difficult to guess what was in her dream. A child and the man and woman who gave birth to the child. Charlotte took off his clothes, but he didn't go to bed. Instead, he went into the bathroom, turned on the hot water faucet, and then stood under the shower head, letting the hot water pour from head to toe. The hot water brought him warmth and took away the feeling of loneliness. The temperature of the hot water also made him feel that he was still a normal human. This feeling was especially important to him. Yawn. Suddenly, Tang Yuyin's voice came from outside the door. Honey, it's 4:30 a.m. Why are you up so early? Charlotte poked his head out of the water and said, I couldn't sleep, so I took a of water of water. Of. Charlotte Charlotte of feeling. Of said. Charlotte said, my stomach is a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's because of that soup. He needed an excuse to cover up. Although Jiang Rui had made the 3-whip soup for him, was lying down, he bravely took the blame. Stomach is uncomfortable? Let me rub it for you. No need. As soon as Charlotte's voice fell, Tang Yin opened the door of the bathroom and walked in. She was only wrapped in a bath towel. She stared at Charlotte with her eyes wide open. Her eyes were full of concern, as well as something else. A smile appeared on Charlotte's face. Since you're here, let's do it together. I'm here to see your stomach. Don't move. Tang Yin reached out and pressed her hand on Charlotte's lower abdomen. Then she said in surprise, why is it so cold? I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't cover myself with a quilt. Charlotte lied. He could only use one lie after another to cover up what had happened to him. This was a white lie. He didn't want his women to be in a desperate situation before his end came. He wanted to leave his best for them. This was also a sad and lonely lie. He had to bear all of this alone, and no one would share his burden. Tang Yuyin didn't notice the changes in her man. She gently rubbed Charlotte's lower abdomen. His firm and delicate abdominal muscles rubbed against her palm, giving her a strange feeling. Under that feeling, the hormones in her body became active, secreting more and more, and her breathing gradually became shorter. The hand that had been treating Charlotte's lower abdomen moved down quietly, like a clumsy thief. Charlotte's body stiffened slightly. Yuyin, you can't rush to have a child even if you want it, right? I can't stand it. Tang Yin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Are you saying what I want to say? You're the strongest man in the world. You're the one who beats me every time. When have I ever beaten you? I'm beginning to understand why Long Bing asked me if I needed help. When I have a child, I won't sleep with you alone. Charlotte, Tang Yin leaned over and kissed Charlotte's lips. The water splashed one after another, and each of them was full of passion. The next morning, the whole family sat around the table for breakfast. The four children were also drinking from milk bottles in the stroller. However, the milk bottles weren't artificial milk, but their mother's milk. The children of the Xia family were breastfed. No matter which one of the four children, they were improving every day, and people could feel the obvious changes in them. These changes were reflected in their body's coordination, their ability to read and memorize, as well as their ability to adapt to the environment and communicate with others. Looking at his children, Charlotte's mood finally improved. He teased this and that, and he and the children kept laughing. The five women were also beaming with joy. The family was harmonious, and the atmosphere was extremely good. Yu Yin, I see that your walking posture is a little difficult. Don't work too hard. I'll do a test for you later. If you win, don't work too hard, Fan Fan said. You could do the test so soon. Tang Yin looked very surprised. Long Bing said with a smile, Fan Fan is our country's best bioengineer. The antidote you used was developed by her. There's no problem. She also did the test for me back then, and the results were very accurate. Then I'll have to trouble you, Tang Yin said happily. She couldn't wait. Fan Fan smiled. We're a family. We're all sisters. You don't have to be so polite. Tang Yin smiled and didn't say any more polite words. She had already liked the atmosphere of this family. Daddy, Xia Fan suddenly threw the bottle in his hand on the ground and shouted, Pick it up. You? Charlotte put down the bowl, and with a straight face, he scolded his daughter. You threw the bottle on the ground and asked me to pick it up. Do you want to be spanked? Xia Fan patted the tray on the stroller with his chubby little hands and shouted even more happily, Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Charlotte was speechless. Fan Fan said, Hubby, go and pick it up. Our daughter asked you to pick it up. Charlotte pointed at Fan Fan and glared at her. A second later, he got up and picked up the bottle on the ground and put it in front of Xia Fan. Daddy, be good. Xia Fan continued to pat the tray. Feed. Charlotte was speechless. At this moment, Xiaolong also threw the bottle in his hand. Daddy, pick it up. Daddy, pick it up. You want to rebel too? Charlotte pretended to be angry. Do you want to be spanked too? Long Bing said, You love your daughter more than your son, don't you? Charlotte was speechless. Before Charlotte could pick up the bottle that Xia Long threw, Liang Jiayu and Xia Jianghe also threw their bottles and shouted for their daddy to pick it up. Charlotte was about to collapse. He was the head of the family and enjoyed the happiness of a family. But he seemed to have the least status in the family. The ones with the highest authority and status were obviously his four little ancestors, followed by his five women, and then himself. The incident of picking up the bottle was an example of blood and tears. After arguing with his son and daughter, Charlotte announced what he wanted to announce. Wives, are you full? What do you want to do? Fan Fan asked. Charlotte said, If you're full, let's go back to Peace Residence. Back to Peace Residence? Long Bing was a little surprised. Is the danger over? Charlotte nodded. The danger is over. We should go home. Liang Xiao smiled. That's great. I don't want to stay in this place for a long time. Our home is more comfortable. I also think our home is more comfortable. It's best to go back and live there, Jiang Rui said. The danger had been averted, but only Xia Lei knew how it had been averted and what price he had paid. Bing, you drive your night 15 later. You guys go first, I'll follow behind, Charlotte said. Why not? Long Bing asked. Charlotte said, I want to take the things in the basement back too. They can't be with you and the children. Long Bing said, Okay then. The five women packed up and got into Long Bing's night 15. Tang Yin drove her military off-road vehicle and left first. In the basement, Charlotte packed everything. The compass, the world box, the bronze treasure book, war, and the crystal skull. Then he left the basement with everything, got into a car, and drove away. As the car drove out of the neighborhood, Charlotte could no longer see the Night 15 that Long Bing said she was driving. Long Bing and Liang Xiao both knew what the ancient alloy box was. Of course, they also knew how dangerous it was, so they took their children as far away as possible, even abandoning their husbands. Of course, they also knew that their husbands were the only people in the world who were immune to the ancient alloy box. Just as Charlotte was about to drive the car into the fast lane and speed up, a black Toyota off-road vehicle suddenly brushed past his car. When the two cars brushed past each other, Charlotte saw a person sitting in the passenger seat of the Toyota off-road vehicle. It was also at that moment that Charlotte froze. It was a Toyota off-road vehicle, and a man in a black robe was sitting in the passenger seat. He also wore a black pointed hood on his head. The hood was so low that his face could not be seen at all. Prehistoric only, he had appeared. The purpose of his appearance was obviously to confirm if Charlotte had taken the last AE capsule. For Charlotte, the appearance of prehistoric only meant that the super bodyguard he had hired was in place. He also gained a precious moment to breathe. The two cars brushed past each other, and there was no communication between Charlotte and prehistoric only. Chapter 1165. After the danger was averted and the women and children moved back to Peace Residence, Charlotte devoted most of his time and energy to the research of fighter jets and strategic bombers. He knew that he didn't have much time left. Researching and building fighter jets and strategic bombers for China was his living wish, and he had to accomplish it no matter what. After taking the last AE capsule, his brain's calculation and simulation abilities had significantly improved. But when he entered superbrain mode, the calculation and simulation speed was faster, more comprehensive, and more accurate. This way, the time for Rema Group to start building fighter jets and strategic bombers would come forward. Lockheed Martin Corporation's super fighter jet was called Dragon Slayer. Charlotte named the super fighter jet he was researching King of Hell, and the strategic bomber jet he was researching and designing was called Kuan Peng. The Kuan Peng rose with the wind, soaring 90,000 miles. Once the Kuan Peng and King of Hell were born, China's air combat power would undergo a drastic change. At that time, no country would dare to deploy their aircraft carriers into the Southern Sea, and the military bases of the neighboring countries would not see U.S. fighter jets and bombers. This was also a dream, and in order to realize it, Charlotte was like an oil lamp, burning the last bit of his energy to illuminate the land of China. During the day, Charlotte would return to Peace Residence to spend time with his wife and children at night, enjoying the joy of family. He didn't have much time left, and he cherished every minute with his women and children. In the blink of an eye, a week had passed. Night fell, and Peace Residence was brightly lit. Teams of special forces patrolled around Peace Residence, setting up checkpoints to check the vehicles and people coming and going. Several anti-aircraft missile launchers stood under the night sky, ready to launch at any time. In addition, there were scavenger IFVs and Zs, 100 main battle tanks guarding the Thunder Horse military factory, leaving no blind spots. This was a tense and serious scene. But in Peace Residence, it was a different scene. After dinner, Charlotte and the 4 children stayed in the living room while the 5 women cleaned up the dishes. Charlotte turned on the TV and found an anime channel for the children. The channel was playing Boonie Bears. Baldy Chong, Briar, and Bramble were fighting fiercely, and the scene was very lively. However, the 4 children did not watch TV. They played by themselves. Liang, Jiayu, and Charlotte were busy dismantling a bunch of toys, excavators, tanks, and so on. They dismantled all of them into parts and assembled them. Xia Zhanghe and Xia Fan, on the other hand, were drawing on the drawing board with paintbrushes. They weren't just scribbling. Xia Zhanghe was drawing a milk bottle, and Xia Fan. When Charlotte saw what his and Fanfan's daughter was drawing, he felt terrible. She was drawing a milk bottle. Charlotte leaned over and smiled bitterly. Xia Fan, what did you draw? Tell Dad. The 4 children were improving every day, and simple communication was no longer a problem. Milk, Xia Fan said, Mommies. Charlotte. At this time, the 5 women also came to the living room, and the living room suddenly became lively. When Fan Fan saw what her daughter was drawing, she hurriedly ran over and snatched the paintbrush from Xiao Fan's hand. Xiao Fan, what are you drawing? Mommy's milk, Xiao Fan said in a childish voice. Fan Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Baby, why are you drawing Mommy's milk? I'm hungry, Xiao Fan said. I'm drawing milk to fill my hunger. The living room suddenly fell silent, and then there was a burst of cheerful laughter. The 4 children were all learning Mandarin. Chinese characters were one part of it, and idioms were another. Xiao Fan was the most intelligent of the 4 children, so it was not strange for her to say something like that in this family. However, if this were to spread, she would definitely become a child prodigy on the internet and gain countless fans. After all, children of her age could only cry to express their hunger and discomfort, but she could already draw milk to fill her hunger. Charlotte felt bad for his daughter, so he patted Fan Fan's big white breasts. Didn't you hear? Our daughter is hungry. Hurry up and feed her. Fan Fan showed a bitter expression. I just fed her before dinner, and now I have to feed her again. What do I have that much milk? Charlotte volunteered. Do you want me to give you a squeeze? Squeeze your head, you big jerk. Fan Fan laughed and scolded him. Then she lifted her clothes to feed Xiao Fan. She really did have a stock. Seeing Xiao Fan drink milk, the other 3 children also clamored for milk. Thus, the scene of one person drinking milk turned into a scene of 4 people drinking milk. The white breasts dazzled the eyes. The 4 children's appetite was several times that of ordinary children, but their mothers were not easy to deal with. Their granaries were full and firm, completely at the standard of breast size, so it was not a problem to satisfy them. However, sometimes if their fathers also went to freeload for food and drinks, then there would be a supply problem. Therefore, when the 4 children were drinking milk, they would usually stare at Charlotte from time to time, wary of him freeloading. Sure enough, when Charlotte pretended to lean toward the other side of Liang Xiao's chest, Liang Jiayu raised his hand, ready to slap him. When he moved to Long Bing's side, Xiaolong also raised his hand to defend his granary. When he came to Zhang Rui's side, Xiao Zhanghe simply reached out to cover her mother's other granary, not giving Charlotte a chance. Charlotte curled his lips and said, "Stingy, you are really stingy. I don't want to play with you." Liang Xiao said with a smile, "Honey, if you really want to eat, don't you have some next to you? Why are you fighting with the children for food?" Charlotte's eyes then fell on Tang Yuyan. Tang Yuyan, who was envious of Liang Xiao and the others for having a baby to feed, was stunned for a moment before she realized what was going on. She blushed and said, "Xiao, you guys feed the baby, and I feed my husband. What's going on? I won't feed him. If you want to feed him, you can feed him." Charlotte pounced on Tang Yuyan and imitated the child's voice. I'm so hungry. I want to drink milk." Tang Yuyan didn't dodge. She poked Charlotte's forehead with one finger and said, "Stop it. I have good news for you." "What good news?" Charlotte said. Tang Yuyan waved her hand and said, "Put your ear over here, and I'll tell you." Charlotte obediently put his ear over. Tang Yuyan got close to Charlotte's ear and said, "Honey, I'm pregnant." "What?" Charlotte pretended not to know. Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte and said, "Idiot, of course I'm pregnant. Sister Fan Fan's test results have come out. I'm pregnant with your child." "Huh." Charlotte picked up Tang Yuyan by the waist and spun around. "I'm going to be a father again. Be careful. Don't drop me." Tang Yuyan was very nervous. She hugged Charlotte's neck tightly. Only then did Charlotte stop spinning, but he didn't put Tang Yuyan down. "Is it a boy or a girl?" "It's just a fertilized egg. How can you tell if it's a boy or a girl? You're too anxious, aren't you?" Fan Fan, who was feeding the child, said, You're right. I was too impatient." Xiao Lei smiled in a simple and honest manner. Tang Yuyan whispered in Charlotte's ear, "Honey, I'm pregnant. A week has passed. I won't sleep alone with you, okay?" Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "You mean you can?" Tang Yuyan nodded shyly. "I'm pregnant. I can't stand your torment. I'll be with them. They'll protect me." Charlotte was overjoyed. Then I'll go make the big bed now, okay? Wives, come over after you fed the child. Bah, perverted. Jiang Rui's voice. Why are you so naughty? Liang Xiao's voice. You still want me to give birth to the child for you? Long Bing's voice. Fan Fan didn't say anything. She just pulled the bra off and threw it at Charlotte's head. Charlotte reached out and took it. He sniffed it shamelessly. Haha, it smells good. The living room was suddenly filled with laughter and curses. Walking out of the living room, Charlotte felt a tinge of sadness in his heart. He had a great job, fame, and fortune. He had a bunch of beautiful wives and children. These were all things that he had. It was infinitely beautiful and enviable. But the reality was that his time was getting shorter and shorter. Every day that passed was one day less. How could he bear to leave his women and children? He came to the biggest room in Peace Lodge and laid down on the biggest bed. His brain couldn't help but imagine the life that his women and children would have to face after he left. Goo goo goo. He received a text on his ordinary phone. He took out his phone and opened his mailbox to find the text. The text was sent by Shinta Tianyin. There was only one sentence. Congratulations on marrying another beautiful wife. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. He hesitated for a moment before replying. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Soon, he received a second text from Shinta Tianyin. I thought you wouldn't reply. Why did you reply me this time? He was silent for a moment before replying to Shinta Tianyin. Sometimes we need to face some bad reality. No matter what, take care of yourself and treat yourself well. Career is important, but it's not everything in life. Love is important, but it's not everything in life. Cherish what you have now. Don't be too tired. If you're too tired, you'll have nothing left. Shinta Tianyin, what's up with you? So many thoughts? Charlotte, nothing, I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to sleep. Good night. Shinta Tianyin, good night. I really want to see your children. Can I visit you? Charlotte felt a headache coming on, but he still replied, Of course you can. Shinta Tianyin, thank you. I'll make some preparations. I'll come visit your children when the time is right. I heard they're very smart. Charlotte replied, Hee hee, they're not just smart. They're almost intelligent. All parents in the world were like this. As long as their children were smart, they couldn't help but praise them when they talked about their children. Obviously, Xiaolei was not an exception. Shinta Tianyin, now that you mention it, I really want to come visit. I'm looking forward to seeing your children. All right, I won't disturb your rest. Good night. Xiaolei didn't reply with a good night again. Just like that, they would say good night again and again, and it would never end. He put away his phone and thought to himself, why does she want to see my children? What will Xiao and Yu Yin think if she comes? Forget it. I'm not thinking about it anymore. Shinta Tianyin meeting the 5 women in his family. What kind of scene would that be? Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Footsteps came from outside the door, and it was the sound of a group of footsteps. Charlotte hurriedly got up from the bed and stood by the bedside, welcoming the 5 madams into the bedroom. The 5 madams entered the room, and Long Bing, who was the last to enter, closed the door. The moment the door closed, Tang Yuyin turned around and walked out. She blushed and said, Forget it, I'll go back to my room. Long Bing blocked her way. Do you think you can still leave? Liang Xiao suddenly came over and grabbed Tang Yuyin's arm. You've already violated the Xia family's first rule. You're running away from battle. Now, you're being punished according to the family rules. Tang Yuyin shouted, What family rules? What family rules? Why don't I know about them? Charlotte smiled mischievously. I'm a family rules. I'm a family rules. So, there's only one family rule in our family. Tang Yuyin said, Don't come over. Because of her shyness, the moon hid behind the clouds. There wasn't much time left. It was time to have fun. Chapter 1166. After breakfast, Charlotte left Ping in residence and went to the company. He walked into his office and cleared his mind of the ridiculous and sweet dreams he had with his wives last night. He had also changed from the role of husband and father to another role, the owner of Rema Group. The morning sun shone on his body, and the cold feeling lessened a lot. Last night, his wives also discovered why his skin was so cold, but he couldn't answer them. Evolution was going on all the time, and in the end, he would become like Zhu Xianyue, cold and without warmth. His body lost its temperature, but his brain and organs' abilities kept increasing. This seemed like a contradiction because the loss of body temperature was the reason why the immune system became weaker. But that saying was for normal people, and it didn't apply to him at all. As the full evolution started, his final result would be to evolve into a pure energy body, and he would no longer need a body. Zhu Xianyue also said that in the future, humans wouldn't need a body. They could use alloys to build their bodies to overcome the harsh environment in the universe and explore and develop the vast universe. Without a body, a pure energy body would allow humans to have a longer lifespan, and they could take on interstellar journeys that could be counted in light years. Therefore, as humans evolve, their bodies would eventually disappear and be replaced. As for him, he was just entering the ultimate evolution ahead of time. His body was starting to become cold, and this was normal. After entering the office, Charlotte turned on his computer. He first looked at his 4 stock accounts in the U.S. stock market. He had withdrawn a lot of money from the 4 accounts during his trip to the U.S., and he didn't have time to personally buy and sell stocks, so the total assets of the 4 accounts had shrunk to $5 billion US. This won't do. My original plan was to roll a big snowball and smash the U.S. capital market. I said I would do it, but now, this amount of money probably won't even create a bubble, and I don't have time to buy and sell stocks. That puppet skills are really limited. What should I do? Charlotte thought about this problem, and after a few minutes, he closed his eyes and entered super brain mode. Now, he could enter super brain mode faster, and the side effects were smaller. As his body evolved, in the near future, there would be no side effects when he entered super brain mode. In the past, every time he used the super brain mode, there would be certain side effects, and he would feel terrible. This time, Charlotte did not enter super brain mode to study Rema Group's super fighter jets and strategic bombers. Instead, he tried to solve the problem of trading stocks in the United States. When his brain was in a normal state, he thought about this problem, but he couldn't find a solution. After his brain entered super brain mode, the situation instantly changed. His brain provided him with hundreds and thousands of solutions in an instant. Moreover, in this extremely short instant, his computer had already analyzed and calculated the solutions. One solution after another was eliminated by him. Finally, there was only one solution left. Xiaoqian? Isn't that the spy program I wrote? How could I forget about it? As long as he rewrote Xiaoqian's program, it would become the #1 stock trading software in history. As long as I insert the modified stock market Xiaoqian into the U.S. stock market trading network, it will automatically collect and process the information on the entire network and then buy and sell stocks for me. I only need to write the stock market version of Xiaoqian, and it will snowball for me. Charlotte could not help but smile. The solution provided by his brain in super brain mode was really the best solution for his current situation. Charlotte switched his computer to his hacker computer. His brain entered super brain mode again, and he wrote the stock market version of Xiaoqian on the computer. His brain was calculating and simulating. His fingers flew as he rewrote the spy version of Xiaoqian. This process reached a miraculous synchronization. It was extremely fast and extremely accurate. The stock market version of Xiaoqian was more complicated than the spy version of Xiaoqian because it needed a certain level of intelligence. Only by making it smarter could it collect and analyze trading intelligence and information in the United States stock market. Then, it would manipulate his stocks and snowball for him. While writing the stock market version of Xiaoqian, Charlotte also had a new idea. That was to combine the stock market version of Xiaoqian with the spy version of Xiaoqian to create a system with higher intelligence and processing power. Let it evolve into an existence similar to America's God system. This way, it would be easier for China to collect business, military, and political information from all over the world. At the same time, it would be able to block foreign hacker attacks and play the role of a super firewall. If this system was born, The role of Super Xiaoqian would be no less than the super fighter jets and strategic bombers he researched. This would also be another valuable asset he would leave for China. Boom! When this idea was born, Charlotte's brain shook. All the programs he had written, even the electrical engineering he had designed when he built the Lei Long smart machine tool, including the control programs he had written for the Jinka and Ghost drones. Countless program languages shuttled and danced in his brain like bricks building walls and walls building buildings. One thought was one command. What he gained was not only the stock market version of Xiaoqian, but also the prototype of the super version of Xiaoqian, and even the programs and electrical engineering needed for the Kuan Peng strategic bomber and Yama fighter jets. 2 hours passed. Charlotte's fingers stopped tapping. Then he picked up the satellite phone and dialed a number. After the phone was connected, he said, "Mr. Hornick, good evening. Uncle Xia, sleep? Uncle Xia sleeps naked. Uncle Xia is a bad guy. I have sent a software program to your mailbox. You can copy it and insert it into your work computer when you go to work." "Yes, my master." It was the voice of the puppet Hornick. This should be the last time Charlotte used the puppet made by Zhu Xianwei. As long as Hornick implanted the stock market version of Xiaoqian into his work computer, it would enter the trading system of the U.S. stock market and begin its mission. After this was done, Charlotte took a break. The 2-hour super brain mode made his brain a little dizzy, but that was all. The side effects were obviously much smaller than before. After taking a break, I will continue the research on Yama and Kuan Peng. Charlotte got up and made himself a cup of tea. The tea was brewed, but before he had time to take a sip, Qin Xiang appeared at the door of the office. She was dressed in an office lady suit with smoky lipstick on her lips, and his current identity was Charlotte's secretary. After Qin Xiao's accident, Charlotte wanted to hire another female secretary, but Liang Xiao arranged Qin Xiang for him. This was really Liang Xiao's heart being known to everyone. She arranged Qin Xiang to be his secretary, which eliminated the possibility of Charlotte finding another beautiful female secretary, and also eliminated the possibility of a female secretary seducing her husband. And as the CEO of Rema Group and Charlotte's wife, wasn't it just a matter of a word for Qin Xiang to become Charlotte's secretary? "Director Xia, why are you making tea by yourself? Can't you just call me?" Qin Xiang swayed her hips and walked over leisurely. She looked like a model. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "Don't you know how to wear a man's suit? Do you really look good like this?" Qin Xiang threw a supercilious look at Charlotte. "It's the 21st century now. Why are your thoughts still so conservative? This country allows you to marry 5 wives, but can't I wear the clothes I like?" Charlotte shrugged speechlessly and said, "As long as you're happy, Sister Qin." Only then did Qin Xiang smile. "That's more like it. What's the matter?" "Of course." Qin Xiang said, "Shinta Tianyin is outside. If you don't want to see her, I'll ask her to go back." "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Charlotte got up and walked to the door to greet her in person. If it was someone else, he would not go to the door to greet her in person. But Shinta Tianyin was different. After all, she was the woman he loved deeply, his ex-wife. Although they had divorced, he still regarded her as his best friend. He was never the kind of man who would become enemies after breaking up. Back then, he had taken a blame for Shinta Tianyin, but he had never really blamed her, and she had always had a place in his heart. Shinta Tianyin stood in the corridor outside the door. She was wearing a well-tailored black dress, which was simple and elegant. She was wearing a black top hat on her head with a red ribbon tied to it. The ribbon was tied in the shape of a rose, which added a youthful and lively aura to her. She was carrying a black handbag in her hand. It was not a famous brand, but it looked very suitable in her hand. She was still so beautiful, cold, and elegant. But Charlotte knew that under her cold and elegant appearance, there was a passionate heart. He once had that heart. Their eyes met, and neither of them spoke. There was a strange tacit understanding between them. Qin Xiang coughed. "Well, I'll go to the workshop. You guys talk." Go. Charlotte had already left. He smiled. "I thought you would go to my house. I didn't expect you to come here to look for me." Shinta Tianyin waited until Qin Xiang had walked a few steps away before saying softly, "Since you're not at home, I'll go to your house. You have so many wives. If one of them glares at me, I'll be skinned even if I don't die. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. Come in and have a seat. Shinta Tianyin entered the door. Charlotte wanted to close the door, but he suddenly thought of something and gave up the idea. Of his 5 wives, 3 of them were special agents. Ping and Residence was only 1 wall away from this office building. How could they not know that Shinta Tianyin was here? He only wanted to have a chat with Shinta Tianyin. If he closed the door, it would be hard to explain. Charlotte's little action fell into Shinta Tianyin's eyes. Seeing that he didn't close the door, there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. It wasn't that she wanted to do something clandestine with Charlotte behind closed doors. It was just that Charlotte's reaction was obviously considering the feelings of his women and treating her as an outsider. What would you like to drink? Charlotte asked. A glass of water will be fine, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte poured a glass of water for Shinta Tianyin and looked at her. You've lost weight. A smile appeared on Shinta Tianyin's lips. The work is heavy and no one loves me. Of course I'll lose weight. You've also lost weight. Why? There was a hint of sadness in her smile. Chapter 1167. Have I lost weight? Charlotte had never thought that he had lost weight. In fact, his weight had always been stable. He would never lose weight. Shinta Tianyin smiled and said, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because I haven't seen you in a long time. I feel like you're a bit thinner than before. Is it because you're too tired from work? Or is it because you have too many wives? Charlotte was speechless. Under normal circumstances, how could a man handle 5 women? But not only could he satisfy the needs of 5 women, he even had the upper hand. So much so that his women had grouped together to deal with him. But when these words came out of Shinta Tianyin's mouth, they had a different meaning. She was the kind of woman who almost never joked, let alone said such dirty words. But when it came to Charlotte, she dared to make any kind of joke and say any kind of words. After all, they were husband and wife. They had loved each other before and understood each other. Now that they were sitting together, it was easy to find that warm and ambiguous feeling from before. Sorry, I'm not your wife now. I can't say whatever I want. You don't have to answer my question, Shinta Tianyin said. Wasn't this a way of asking him to answer the question? Charlotte smiled bitterly. I've been living a fulfilling life recently. I work in the company every day and go home at night to put the kids to sleep. Shinta Tianyin was silent for a moment before saying, Are you happy? Charlotte nodded. I'm very happy. They and the kids are doing well. I cherish everything that I have now. How about you? Are you doing well? Shinta Tianyin smiled bitterly. Do you think I'm doing well? I can't forgive myself and you. It's too late to say anything now. She had divorced him, but now Charlotte was the husband of 5 women and had 4 children. She could no longer mend their relationship and return to the life they had before. The atmosphere in the office became awkward. Charlotte laughed dryly. Let's talk about something else. I see that Vientiane Group is doing well in the American stock market. It's currently at $12. I still have more than $1 billion USD worth of Vientiane Group shares in my hands, and I've made some money with you. Shinta Tianyin stared straight at Charlotte. How long are you going to lie to me? Charlotte was slightly stunned. What? I know it was you who helped me and Vientiane Group through its most difficult times. The reason Vientiane Group's stock price is rising in the American stock market is also because of your secret help, isn't it? So that's what you were talking about. Charlotte smiled. I'm here to make money in the U.S. stock market. I'd rather work in your own than work in other people's stocks. Don't you agree? After all, we are friends. Just friends? Shinta Tianyin's eyes flashed with sadness. Charlotte could read her eyes, but he didn't know what to say. Why are you so good to me? I betrayed you. Even under those circumstances, you still gave me a choice. But between you and Vientiane Group, I chose Vientiane Group. You should hate me. Why are you so good to me? Charlotte smiled wryly. I can understand you. Under those circumstances, the country wouldn't do anything to me if I was the scapegoat. But if they were to punish you, it could be the death penalty or life imprisonment. After all, the amount involved was too large. I gave you that choice, and you chose Vientiane Group, because it was your and your father's hard work. It's a part of your lives. Shinta Tianyin suddenly interrupted Charlotte. You still have me in your heart, don't you? Did Shinta Tianyin still have a place in his heart? Did he still love Shinta Tianyin? Charlotte hadn't thought about this question before. Now that he was suddenly faced with this question, he really couldn't answer it. After his divorce with Shinta Tianyin, he had been living a carefree life. He had a group of beautiful wives, a group of children, and a confidant like Akiko Tsukino. His sex life was off the charts. But what about Shinta Tianyin? She had kept her chastity and didn't even have a rumored boyfriend, let alone a real one. As for her, with her beauty and status, there were definitely many men chasing after her. The number of men who had a crush on her and wanted her was probably uncountable. Therefore, to him, divorce might be a release. It would elevate him from a state of happiness to a higher state of happiness. But to Shinta Tianyin, it was just loneliness, and pain. There's no one else here, and your wife isn't here. Can't you tell me the answer? This is very important to me, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte sighed. Tianyin, why do you have to do this? So what if you know the answer? You should. What should I do? You should forget about me. Find a man who loves you, and live the rest of your life happily. You deserve this kind of happiness. You shouldn't live in the past. Charlotte said. He didn't know why, but when he said these words, a faint sadness appeared in his heart. For a man, letting the woman he loved be with another man was not a good feeling. But this was his heart. It was broad and magnanimous. He had a group of beautiful wives and enjoyed the happiness of being with his family. He couldn't possibly occupy someone else's heart or even her body. Otherwise, she should be living a happy life, right? That would be too selfish. Okay, then help me introduce someone, Shinta Tianyin said. Introduce someone to you? Charlotte didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Shinta Tianyin interrupted Charlotte again. But I have a condition. It has to be the same as yours. The same? Charlotte didn't understand what she meant by the same for a moment. Yes, the same, Shinta Tianyin added on. Same height, same weight, same face, same eyes. You know, I've always been fascinated by your eyes. Also, you have to be so capable. Charlotte was speechless. I'm Shinta Tianyin. If I want a man, then I want the most outstanding man in the world. My ex-husband is an unparalleled hero. If I remarry, would I still marry an ordinary man? Shinta Tianyin's eyes were burning. Just by looking at her eyes, Charlotte could tell that she had never forgotten him. She still loved him deeply. He could even understand her standards because she was Shinta Tianyin, the queen of Vientiane Group. She should be one of the proudest women in the world. The man who could conquer her was right in front of her. No one else could. However, some people and things were hard to turn back once they were missed. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. Let's not talk about this. Don't you want to see my child? I'll take you there. The sadness in Shinta Tianyin's eyes deepened. But just as Charlotte stood up, Qin Xiang suddenly appeared at the door. She looked nervous. Old Xia, bad news. In Rema Group, only Qin Xiang dared to call Charlotte Old Xia and baby. Charlotte stood up. What happened? Your wives are here. Qin Xiang glanced back. They're already at the stairs. I'm going to leave first. I recklessly came to inform you. Remember to treat me to a meal later. Without waiting for Charlotte to say anything, Qin Xiang left and walked to the stairs on the other side of the corridor. As soon as she left, the unique sound of high heels clicking against the floor came from the corridor. There was also the sound of rolling baby carriage wheels. The sudden arrival of the wives made Charlotte, who had done nothing wrong, feel inexplicably guilty. Shinta Tianyin's reaction was very calm. After Qin Xiang appeared, she seemed to have changed into a different person. She went from a gentle, intellectual, and delicate woman to a proud and aloof queen. She calmly took out an envelope from her handbag and said to Charlotte, "Director Xia, let's talk business." Huh? Charlotte couldn't help but be stunned. 4 women came in from the door of the office, each of them pushing a baby carriage. In each carriage sat a beautiful and cute child. Liang Xiao was the first to speak. What a coincidence, Miss Shintu. You're here too. Shinta Tianyin nodded slightly. Xiao, long time no see. Hello. Then she politely greeted Fan Fan, Long Bing, and Jiang Rui. Charlotte smiled and said, "Why are you here?" Fan Fan said, "It's because of your precious daughter. She was crying for a father, so I brought her to see you. Your daughter is the closest to you." As soon as Fan Fan's voice fell, Xia Fan suddenly said, "I don't want a father. He has no milk to give me." Charlotte was petrified. Shinta Tianyin said in surprise, "She can speak at such a young age? Her mind is so clear." Fan Fan said, "She has her father's genes. Of course she's smart." In fact, this was beyond the realm of smart. Fan Fan knew this very well. Shinta Tianyin's gaze swept across the four children, a strange light flashing in her eyes. She had once fantasized about having a child with Charlotte, but this wish never came true. Now, seeing Charlotte's child with another woman so outstanding, how could she not be moved? "Miss Shintu, what brings you here today?" Liang Xiao said. Shinta Tianyin came back to her senses. She said, "It's like this. Vientiane Group has a mine in Nigeria. The mine used to mine heavy crystals, but the output was very small, so I didn't pay much attention to it. But recently, our geologists found a very special metal in the mine. I think it's a rare metal." Rare metal? Charlotte was surprised, but it wasn't because of the rare metal in Nigeria. It was because Shinta Tianyin actually had an official reason for coming here. Shinta Tianyin said, "Yes, a rare metal. It's a metal that has never been discovered before. Our experts haven't even named it yet, and we don't know much about its physical properties. But one thing is for sure." She paused, then said, "Our experts say that the rare metal can absorb electromagnetic waves." Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "Do you have a sample of the rare metal? Let me see it." "Yes, it's in the company," Shinta Tianyin said. Now," Charlotte was about to say, "I'm going to your company with you now." But before he could say it, he saw his four wives staring at him. He swallowed the words he wanted to say. "This should be reported to the government." Fan Fan said, "This is a big deal, and we need to keep it a secret. We can't let the Nigerian government know about it too early." Shinta Tianyin said, "We'll definitely report it to the government, but that area is currently in chaos. I can't mine that rare metal alone. There's one more thing I need to say. 4 Americans came yesterday. They said they were from the global mining company. They wanted to buy that mine from me." For some reason, Charlotte suddenly remembered a piece of information he had received. It said that a few dangerous Americans had entered the country. He didn't care about this matter at first, but now that he heard Shinta Tianyin mention that 4 Americans had approached her and wanted to buy the Vientiane Group's mine in Nigeria from her, he suddenly remembered this matter. Chapter 1168. How did you talk to them? Fan Fan was even more anxious than Charlotte. Shinta Tianyin said, "We didn't talk much. I just dealt with them for a bit and then came over. Director Xia, I know you have a great reputation in the international arena. Thunder Horse Organization is also a company that manufactures weapons. If we work together, we can probably mine that rare metal. In a war-torn place, mining a few worthless ores wouldn't be too big of a problem. But if it was a rare metal, the situation would be different. The Nigerian government, rebel forces, and terrorist organizations would all come knocking on their door. That wasn't the worst-case scenario. The worst-case scenario would be the intervention of America's national forces. At that time, Vientiane Group wouldn't have the ability to defend the mine. That was why Shinta Tianyin came here. The mine in Nigeria was undoubtedly a huge cake, but she was willing to share it with Charlotte. "Hubby, go take a look at this sample," Fan Fan said. "I'll go report the situation to the chief now. Give me a call after you've seen the sample. I'll tell the chief what you know." Liang Xiao, Long Bing, and Jiang Rui didn't say anything. They just looked at Charlotte. This had happened too suddenly. It seemed that they weren't used to it. Charlotte knew that they didn't want him to go with Shinta Tianyin to Vientiane Group, but he still braced himself and said, "America has a Dragon Slayer project against us. Lockheed Martin Corporation is developing a super fighter jet that can suppress us. If they obtain the rare metal that can absorb electromagnetic waves, America will have the Alloy X produced by Rema Group. America will regain an overwhelming advantage over us in the field of space. Once that happens, it will be a nightmare for our country and our people. Go. Liang Xiao also relented. After all, business was business. Jealousy between women was not worth mentioning compared to national affairs. Be careful, Long Bing said. Go home early, I made soup for you. Jiang Rui said. Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. Then I'll go take a look. Then he moved closer to Jiang Rui's ear. Is it that kind of soup again? Jiang Rui nodded and said softly, That's right. Charlotte. Rui, help me take care of the child, Fan Fan said. No problem, Jiang Rui said. Fan Fan said to Xia Fan, Xia Fan, I have to leave for a while. Can you stay with Fourth Mother? Yes, Fourth Mother, feed me. Xia Fan stretched out her chubby arms and asked Jiang Rui to carry her. Jiang Rui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Before Jiang Rui could carry Xia Fan, Xia Jianghe expressed her dissatisfaction. I'm not giving it to you. The office was filled with laughter. Shinta Tianyin wanted to laugh too, but she couldn't bring herself to do so. She couldn't help but wonder. If she and Xia Lei hadn't divorced and she had children with Xia Lei, would her children be as smart as Xia Lei? Can I carry the child? For some reason, Shinta Tianyin couldn't help but want to carry Charlotte's child. Charlotte said, Of course, you can carry anyone you want. Before Shinta Tianyin could make a decision, Xiao Long opened her arms. Auntie, carry me. Good boy. Shinta Tianyin picked Xiao Long up from the pram and exclaimed, He's so heavy and sturdy. I can't believe it. Your child is so young, but his intelligence is comparable to that of a toddler. At this moment, Xiao Long suddenly reached out to touch Shinta Tianyin's collar and said, Annie, feed me milk. Shinta Tianyin was shocked and embarrassed. I didn't. Long Bing walked over and slapped Xiao Long's butt. You little brat, you want to drink milk every time you see a woman. Aren't you ashamed? You're just like your father. Charlotte was also embarrassed. Well, what did I do? Only then did Long Bing realize that she had said something wrong. She said, Go on. Come back early. We'll wait for you to eat. Charlotte said, Tianyin, let's go. Take me to see the samples you got from the mine. Okay. Shinta Tianyin returned the child to Long Bing and left with Charlotte. After Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin left, Jiang Rui said, Shinta Tianyin is here again. I don't know if what she said about the rare metal is true. I suspect that she has other motives. Fan Fan, who had not left, said, I said that I wanted to see the chief, and she didn't object. She wouldn't lie. I believe that what she said about the rare metal is true. Liang Xiao said, Don't worry. Hubby will keep his promise. I should go too. Fan Fan said, Mommy, feed me some milk before you go. Xiao Fan said, Eat. You only know how to eat. Let your fourth mother feed you. Mommy has to go. Fan Fan turned and left. Jiang Rui was speechless. If there was a breastfeeding competition in this world, Charlotte's 4 children would easily win the competition. The silver Rolls-Royce Phantom drove towards the capital. Shinta Tianyin was driving. She did not bring her bodyguard and driver, Fu Mingmei. Perhaps she wanted to spend more time alone with Charlotte. If Fu Mingmei was here, some things would be difficult to say. Tianyin, do you remember what the 4 Americans looked like? Charlotte broke the silence in the car. I like your children very much. No matter if it's a boy or a girl, they're all so cute. Shinta Tianyin did not answer the question. Charlotte smiled and said, You can have children too. Your children will be very smart and cute. Shinta Tianyin looked at Charlotte. Who will have children with me? This. Charlotte did not know what to say. Shinta Tianyin sighed. Perhaps I am destined to be alone for the rest of my life. That mistake will punish me for the rest of my life. In the future, when you are old, you'll have a group of children and a big family. My father will leave me one day, and I will be old. At that time, I will be alone. Now that I think about the future, I feel very discouraged. I can't help but ask myself, why do I have to earn so much money? Charlotte felt sour in his heart. He comforted her. Tianyin, don't have such thoughts. It's important to be optimistic. Besides, you deserve the best man in the world. But I've already lost him, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte was silent again. Can you bear to see me be alone for the rest of my life? In the future, when I am old, I won't even have a child to take care of me. Shinta Tianin's eyes were a little moist. She was such a proud woman. It was impossible for her to fall in love with any man other than Charlotte. This also meant that she was destined to not have children with other men. In the future, when she was old, other than the people from the Shinta family who coveted her wealth, she would not even have a person to talk to, let alone have children by her side to fulfill their filial piety. Even if she earned $1 trillion, what was the use of that? Money would never be the measure of a person's happiness. Do you want me to be like that? Charlotte hesitated for a moment and braced himself. Tianin, what can I do for you? Shinta Tianin bit her lips. Child. I want a child. Charlotte was stunned. Shinta Tianin said, when we got married, I wanted to have a son and a daughter with you. I have never used any contraceptive measures, but I don't know why I can't get pregnant. At that time, Fanfan had not yet developed the antidote. Tianin, in this world, other than you, no one can touch me. I know they don't want me to be with you, and I don't have the face to ask you to get back together with me. I only want a child of yours and mine. In the future, when I am old, he will take care of me and go shopping with me. He will also inherit the Vientiane group. This is my only request. Can you promise me? I have never begged anyone before, but I am begging you now. Shinta Tianin said. Charlotte's heart was filled with sorrow. This kind of Shinta Tianin made his heart ache. But she was begging for a child. This kind of thing gave him a headache just thinking about it. You don't have to answer me now, Shinta Tianin said. Her eyes were already very misty. Charlotte thought to himself, my time in this world is getting shorter and shorter. After a year, I will either die or leave this world. Can I really bear to let her be alone for the rest of her life? I left Xiao, Bing, Rui, Fanfan, and Yu Yan with the original shares of the Rema Group and a child. But I left her with nothing but pain. This is too unfair to her. Are you thinking about it? Shinta Tianin said she would give Charlotte time, but she was still so anxious. Charlotte braced himself and probed, Tianin, do you want artificial or natural? Shinta Tianin's cheeks inexplicably reddened. Is there a difference? Is there a difference? I actually consulted the experts. They told me that artificial can cause congenital defects. I don't want my child to have any congenital defects. Also, I heard that the process is very uncomfortable. You know, I'm very afraid of pain. Shinta Tianin's face turned even redder. Although she didn't choose artificial or natural, her words had already given her answer. It was a very clear answer. She wanted natural. I'm just asking. Can you give me some time to think about it? Charlotte seemed a little nervous. Shinta Tianin responded, and a faint smile appeared at the corners of her mouth. Who was she? She was Charlotte's ex-wife. What kind of person was Charlotte? What kind of reaction would he have when faced with problems? What kind of decision would he make in the end? She was very familiar with everything about him. She understood Charlotte as well as she understood herself. Charlotte's reaction was, in fact, because she had already guessed the answer in advance. Now, can you tell me about those 4 Americans? Charlotte changed the topic. If they continued to talk, he didn't know what to say. Shinta Tianin said, for Caucasians. I don't know how to describe the appearance of Caucasians. I think all Caucasians are the same. I have a surveillance video in my company. You can see it when you go. Where are they now? They left after I talked to them. I don't know where they went. Do they know that you have a sample of that rare metal? They shouldn't know. I didn't tell them. In fact, you're the first person to know about it. Shinta Tianin said. The silver Rolls-Royce Phantom continued to drive towards the capital. Chapter 1169. At the headquarters of the Wanxiang Group in the capital, Charlotte followed Shinta Tianin to the door of a confidential room at the headquarters of the Wanxiang Group. After Shinta Tianin entered the password and checked his fingerprint, the door of the confidential room opened. Charlotte followed Shinta Tianin into the confidential room. He saw several safes and filing cabinets that stored files. The filing cabinets were densely packed with documents, such as files and contracts. The Wanxiang Group had a market value of 100 billion yuan. Its business covered all walks of life and countless industries. Of course, these things had to be kept well. It was not difficult to see the importance of this place to shun Tong Tianin. Why don't you send someone to guard such an important place? Charlotte asked casually. Shinta Tianin walked to a safe and said, I have arranged for someone to guard it. Usually there are 2 people guarding outside the door, but I don't know why there is no one this time. Maybe they're changing shifts. Charlotte frowned and said, Tianin, this is not a small matter. If such an important place is entered by someone with ulterior motives, you will be in big trouble. Shinta Tianin said with a smile, No one dares to trouble me now. Oh, why? Shinta Tianin said, Because the people in the government and business circles all know that I'm your ex-wife. With a big backer like you protecting me, who would dare to cause trouble for me? Charlotte just smiled and said nothing. However, he believed in Shinta Tianin's words. With his current reputation in China and his irreplaceable importance to this country, who would dare to take the initiative to provoke his woman? Although Shinta Tianin was no longer his wife, even if she was his ex-wife, no one could afford to provoke her. Shinta Tianin opened the safe and took out a silver aluminum alloy box from it. She opened the box, but suddenly she cried out in surprise, and the box fell to the ground. The box that fell to the ground was empty. There was nothing in it. Charlotte was also very surprised. Tianin, are you sure that the rare metal sample was placed in this box? Yes, I'm sure. The geologist who returned from Nigeria put the sample in this box. I didn't know much about rare metals, but I knew its importance, so I put it in the safe in the confidential room. I put it there myself, and I locked it myself, but how did it disappear? Shinta Tianin looked very anxious. It's most likely related to the 4 Americans. Take me to the surveillance room, Charlotte said. I'll take you there now. Shinta Tianin walked out anxiously as he explained to Charlotte. I'm really not lying to you. I don't know what's going on either. Charlotte patted her shoulder. Don't worry. Even if the sample is gone, it's just a sample. Don't you still have that mine? If necessary, you can get someone to bring another piece back from Nigeria. When Charlotte's palm landed on her shoulder, Shinta Tianin's body trembled slightly. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she had physical contact with Charlotte. It was just a casual touch, but she was very sensitive. After all, Charlotte was the only man other than her father who had touched her body, and this man hadn't touched her for too long. I'm sorry, I was a little careless, Charlotte said, looking a little awkward. Shinta Tianin's eyes flashed with a hint of sadness. Now you have to apologize to me for touching my shoulder? You've done everything to me in the past, but you've never apologized to me. If another man had touched her like this, even if it was just a shoulder touch, it would have been intolerable to her. However, if it was Charlotte who touched her, then she would do anything. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked Charlotte for a child and even hinted that she would get pregnant naturally. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. After leaving the confidential room, Charlotte followed Shinta Tianin to the surveillance room. Several security guards were working. When they saw Shinta Tianin, they stood up and greeted him respectfully. Chairman. Shinta Tianin just nodded and said, Give me the surveillance video of the 4 Americans. My old Mr. Xia, and I want to take a look. The word she almost said seemed to be husband, but she then changed it to Mr. Xia. A security guard carried out Shinta Tianin's instructions and came to work in front of a computer. A security guard whispered to his colleague, Isn't that Mr. Charlotte, the chairman of Rema Group? He is our chairman's ex-husband. Why is he here? Keep your voice down. Everyone here knows that the chairman still loves her ex-husband. Even if she eats at home, she will always give Mr. Xia a pair of chopsticks. In our chairman's heart, he has always been her husband, another security guard said. The voices of the 2 security guards were very low. Under normal circumstances, it was almost inaudible. However, as far as Charlotte's hearing was concerned, the whispers of the 2 security guards were like loudspeakers in his ears. He could hear them clearly. She actually put a pair of chopsticks for me at dinner. Charlotte suddenly had a complicated feeling in his heart, and some past events could not help but emerge. Shinta Tianin did not hear the whispers of the 2 security guards. She had been standing beside the security guard who was operating the computer and looking at the monitor. She looked very focused and a little nervous. She was not too worried about Charlotte's thoughts about the mysterious disappearance of the sample. What she was worried about was that the 5 women in Charlotte's family suspected that she was lying and deliberately tricked Charlotte into coming to her with some gimmick of rare metals. If that was the case, it would be very difficult for her to get in touch with Charlotte again in the future. Strange. The security guard who was operating the computer suddenly said, "Chairman, I don't know what's going on. The surveillance video of the 4 Americans coming to our company has disappeared, but the time of the surveillance video has not been lost. Could it be that it was not recorded at all? How is that possible?" Shinatianin looked very surprised. She subconsciously looked back at Charlotte. In the past, when she encountered difficulties, she would subconsciously do this. In her heart, Charlotte was obviously still the most trustworthy person. "Let me take a look." Charlotte walked over. The security guard who was operating the computer also got up and stepped aside. Charlotte walked to the computer and did not sit down. He directly entered the operating system. His index finger tapped on the keyboard, and the frequency was like raindrops hitting a window. It was so fast that it was dazzling to the eyes. Shintatianin looked at Charlotte quietly. Charlotte, who was focused on his work, always had a strong attraction to her. 2 minutes later, Charlotte stopped operating. "Your surveillance system has been hacked. The other party is a professional master." The security guard who was operating the computer just now had a surprised expression. "But why didn't we notice it at all? This surveillance system was tailored by the best domestic company, and it cost us more than 2 million. Charlotte did not explain to him. He said to Shintatianin, "Let's go out and talk." Shintatianin nodded meekly and followed Charlotte out of the monitoring room. Several security guards in the monitoring room looked at each other in confusion. They actually did not believe what Charlotte said. After all, this was a professional surveillance system built by a professional company. If it was attacked, there would definitely be traces left, but they did not notice anything. However, if they knew that Xia Lei was the world's top hacker who had fought against America's celestial system, they wouldn't have such thoughts. Walking out of the monitoring room, Charlotte stopped in the corridor. "What happened?" Shintatianin said anxiously. Charlotte glanced at the surveillance camera in the corridor from the corner of his eye. He did not say anything and strode to the end of the corridor. Shintatianin was not a secret agent like Liang Xiao and Long Bing. She followed in Charlotte's footsteps. "Why aren't you saying anything? You lied to me. There's no rare metal at all, right?" Charlotte looked very angry. "You lied to me before, and now you're lying to me again. Do you think I'm a fool?" Shintatianin was stunned on the spot, and tears welled up in her eyes. She had never thought that Charlotte had called her out of the monitoring room to teach her a lesson, and he had even ruthlessly opened up her scars. Charlotte scolded Shintatianin, then continued to walk to the end of the corridor. As he walked, he said, "I'm completely disappointed in you. From now on, your affairs have nothing to do with me. Don't come to me. Forget about the $5 billion investment I promised you before. Goodbye." Shintatianin was suddenly stunned again. She thought to herself, what did I talk to him about the $5 billion investment plan? I didn't mention the money to him at all, so why did he say that? Just as this question popped up in her mind, she suddenly understood something. She then chased after him and said as she walked, "Explain it to me clearly. What kind of person do you think I, Shintatianin, am? You scolded me, and now you want to leave?" The two of them talked back and forth until they reached the staircase. Charlotte entered the stairs and only stopped when he was sure that he had reached the blind spot of the surveillance camera. He grabbed Shintatianin's hand and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to anger you, and those words were definitely not from my heart. Your company's surveillance system has been implanted with a spy program, and your every move is under the surveillance of the other party. I still don't know the other party's identity, but I have too many enemies, and I'm doing this to protect you." "I know, but I still feel like crying," Shintatianin said, and her tears flowed silently. Even though she knew that Charlotte was purposely putting on an act in front of the surveillance camera, she still felt her heart ache. Charlotte was also very sad. You never cried before. Why do you like to cry now? Shinta Tianyin wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. You still have the cheek to say that? Isn't it all because of you? No matter what you say or do, even when you're not by my side, it affects my emotions. Tianyin, Charlotte changed the topic. Listen to me. They have their eyes on you, and you're in danger now. You have to come with me. Go where? Charlotte thought for a moment. Go to my house for now. If the other party sends an expert, my house is the safest place for you. This. Shinta Tianyin was reminded of the 5 female owners of the Peace House, and her heart was filled with fear. I know what you're worried about, but don't worry, I'll tell them. Shinta Tianyin hesitated for a moment, and then nodded. Go get ready. I'll make a phone call first. Charlotte said. Shinta Tianyin turned around and left. Charlotte took out the satellite phone and dialed Fanfan's number. Honey, something happened here. Chapter 1170. When they came to the headquarters of the Wanxiang Group, Shinta Tianyin drove her Rolls-Royce Phantom. But when they left with Charlotte, they took an ordinary car. When they left the headquarters of the Wanxiang Group in the capital, Charlotte avoided all the surveillance cameras. The other party could only see him and Shinta Tianyin coming, but they couldn't see them leave. On the way, Charlotte learned some information about the mine from Shinta Tianyin. The mine of the Wanxiang Group in Nigeria was located in the area where the Boka Holy Land Armed Group was active, east of the historic city of Kano, near the Sahara Desert. The name registered in Nigeria was Friendship Mining. Because they hired many locals and donated a considerable amount to the local mosque, they were relatively safe. On the way, Shinta Tianyin called the person in charge of the Friendship Mining, but he couldn't get through. When Charlotte just returned to Peace Residence, Fanfan also came back. Honey, I have informed the Nigerian embassy to send someone to check the situation. Fanfan said, however, we can't contact the people in the Friendship Mining. The communication there seems to have been cut off. She looked at Shinta Tianyin and asked, Miss Shintu, is the mine of the Wanxiang Group called Friendship Mining? Shinta Tianyin said, yes, it's called Friendship Mining. I just called the person in charge there, but I can't get through. I don't know what happened. Who is the person in charge there? Charlotte asked. Shinta Tianyin said, it's someone from our Shinta family. His name is Shinta Weiying. He is the youngest son of my grandfather's brother. According to seniority, I should call him 7th uncle. He was in charge of overseas mining affairs during my father's time, and he is quite capable. The mine in Nigeria has not had any major problems so far, which is inseparable from his ability. Who is the legal owner of that mine? Charlotte asked. Of course it's me, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte said, that's good. If it's your 7th uncle, I'm worried that the Americans will do something to him. In that case, you'll easily lose control of Friendship Mining. Shinta Tianyin said, what should we do now? I can't get in touch with Shinta Weiying, so there's no way for him to send someone to bring back the samples. Don't worry, the Nigerian embassy has sent people to check it out. They took a helicopter and will have news back in about 2 hours, Fanfan said. Charlotte said, that's good. Let's go eat. We'll have news after we eat. Shinta Tianyin nodded. He looked natural on the surface, but his heart was already restless. As they walked towards a restaurant, Fanfan quietly tugged at Charlotte's sleeve. Charlotte slowed down and waited for her to speak. Fanfan whispered into Charlotte's ear, why did you bring her here? Charlotte also lowered his voice. Tianyin has been targeted by everyone. Don't forget, she's the legal owner of that mine. She's not safe right now, so I asked her to come over and stay for a few days. That way, she'll be safe. Fanfan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Nothing else. Charlotte suddenly remembered what Shinta Tianyin had asked him for, but he kept a straight face. Nothing else. What do you think? If I had anything to do with her, would I still be able to bring her home? That's right. Fanfan's mouth showed a smile. The higher-ups are taking this matter very seriously and asked me to be responsible. You're responsible? Yeah, don't forget, in addition to being your wife, I'm also the director of the ZN Bureau. If what Shinta Tianyin said is true, then that mine is related to the strategic interests of the country, and we can't ignore it. The higher-ups mean that no matter what, We can't let the Americans get that mine, Fan said. You can be responsible, but you must be careful. I won't allow you to go to Nigeria. That place is too messy, Charlotte said. I won't go. I can't bear to part with our little princess, Fan said with a smile. Shinta Tianyin had returned. Liang Xiao, Long Bing, and Jiang Rui had already known before Charlotte brought Shinta Tianyin back. It was Charlotte who had called and explained the reason. But when they saw Shinta Tianyin appear in front of them, their expressions and feelings were still strange. It must be very awkward and strange for the ex-wife to be in the same room with the current wife group. I'm really sorry to disturb you, Shinta Tianyin said. From her point of view, she definitely didn't want to come, but since Charlotte asked her to come, she didn't want to refuse. Why are you so polite? We're all old acquaintances, Liang Xiao said with a forced smile on her face. Sit, it's time to eat, Jiang Rui said. Everyone sat down and Charlotte asked, Where's Yu Yan? Fan said, I talked to her on the phone, and she said she won't be coming back for dinner. She's also busy with the matter in front of her. She has to gather information on the other side. Then don't wait for her. Let's eat, Charlotte said. 6 women and 1 man ate at a table, and 4 little kids drank milk from bottles in their respective strollers. The atmosphere in the dining room was lively and noisy. Shinta Tianyin, however, seemed out of place with this atmosphere. She only ate a little and then stopped eating. She got up to play with Charlotte and Long Bing's child, Xiaolong, Annie feed. Xiaolong was obviously a wily old fox. When he saw a woman with big breasts, he wanted to drink milk. He didn't care if she was his mother or if he knew her. Shinta Tianyin smiled and shook her head. I don't. Annie will feed you a bottle, okay? Xiaolong turned his little head away, but his big black eyes gave Shinta Tianyin a king's disdain. You're really something. Shinta Tianyin reached out and touched Xiaolong's little face. She thought to herself, if only I had a son like this at the dining table. Liang Xiao picked up a piece of pork rib for Charlotte and mouthed. How long is she going to stay? Charlotte also mouthed a few days. Liang Xiao took the piece of pork rib from Charlotte's bowl and then chewed it in front of Charlotte. She spat out the bone and swallowed it. Charlotte, not long after eating, Fan received a call from the ZN Bureau. Charlotte was right next to her, and she could hear the voice on the phone clearly. Director, the helicopter sent by the embassy was shot down. The person on the phone went straight to the point. How is that possible? Who shot it down? Fan said in surprise. I'm not sure. That area is an active area of Boca Holy Land, and the government forces don't dare to go in to investigate. Our intelligence personnel have already rushed over, and I believe there will be results soon. Send someone over immediately and ask the military officer of the embassy to send someone to escort. We must find out the situation of friendship mining, Fan said. Yes, I'll make a call right away. The person hung up. Fan frowned and said, the helicopter sent by the embassy was shot down. The current situation is very complicated, and we don't know who shot it down. Shinta Tianyin said, we have spent money to bribe the local armed forces, and we have a good relationship with the local mosque, so it's unlikely that they would attack us, right? They attacked our embassy's plane. Fan said, I also don't think it's possible, because the plane has our country's logo on it. The local armed forces have no reason to shoot down a plane from a country that has no conflict with them. Even terrorists won't create hatred for no reason. Charlotte said, I think it's Americans. Americans? Liang Xiao's voice was filled with surprise. Charlotte said, only Americans dare to shoot down our plane like this. I guess the Americans have now entered that area and cut off the communication in that area. Do they want to take away my mine? Shinta Tianyin suddenly became excited. Even the local armed forces have not done that. Charlotte said, if that rare metal really exists, the United States can even carry out a color revolution in Nigeria, overthrow the existing government in Nigeria, and support a puppet government. The interests of the Wanxiang group in Nigeria are not guaranteed at all. Then what should we do? Shinta Tianyin had no idea. She actually didn't care about a mine in Nigeria. The reason why she cared about the mine and the rare metal was that it was the only way she could have a chance to get in touch with Charlotte. Charlotte hadn't given her an answer yet. How could she be willing to lose the mine? Charlotte said, "Don't worry. The problem will definitely be solved if the country intervenes. Besides, there's still me. I won't let the Americans get that rare metal. I'll talk to Giovanna. They have channels to get information over there." A few minutes later, Charlotte arrived at the Holy Thunder Church. He also summoned the members of the Zodiac team to discuss countermeasures. In the secret room of the Holy Thunder Church, after listening to Charlotte's situation, Giovanna said, "We also have a church in Africa to develop our brothers and sisters. In fact, there are more brothers and sisters in Africa. That place has suffered from war. Many desperate people rely on the Rescue Society to survive. It's not difficult for us to get information about that area." Charlotte said, "Then contact the brothers and sisters of the Rescue Society there immediately and ask them to find out some information. I want to figure out the situation there as soon as possible." Giovanna said, "Okay, I'll call them right away. Let's go." June said, "We've been in the country for a long time. Our bones are almost rusty." Charlotte said, "The situation there is not clear yet. It's too early for you to go there." June said, "If we wait for the information to come back, it will be too late if something unexpected happens. Let's go and have a look." Charlotte thought for a moment and said, "Well, get ready to go to Nigeria. I'll send you the information as soon as I receive it. In addition, if it's confirmed that there is that rare metal, I will also come." "Are you going to Nigeria too?" Ngumi Khan said. "Isn't it too dangerous?" Charlotte said, "No matter how dangerous it is, it's not as dangerous as Area 51. In any case, I won't let the Americans get that rare metal. What's more, that mine belongs to the Wanxiang group." Giovanna made a phone call in the secret room and then came over and said, "We have a lot of people over there. They have already taken action. The person in charge there is a Hausa man named Sang Bamu. He asked me for some weapons. He said that to go to the Friendship Mine, they need to pass through a very dangerous area. Although they have a lot of people, they only have a few guns." Charlotte said, "That's easy. I'll call Prince Khalifa immediately and ask him to send some over." "That's great," Giovanna said with a smile, asking Prince Khalifa to send the weapons produced by the Rema Group to the Rescue Society, and then the Rema Group would supply the weapons to Prince Khalifa. This way, a lot of trouble could be saved. This was how Charlotte armed his own people, and Prince Khalifa was always happy to meet Charlotte's needs because he could buy the weapons he wanted from the Rema Group and get more discounts. Chapter 1171. Even though something like that happened, it did not affect Charlotte's work on super fighter jets and strategic bombers. He just changed his work location to the study in Ping in residence. He stayed in the study for half a day. It was already evening when he finished his work. Just as he was about to leave the study, Tang Yuan walked in with a tired look on her face. It was already evening by the time he came out. When he left the study, Tang Yuan also returned, a tired look on her face. Charlotte felt sorry for her. "You're pregnant, so don't work so hard. Rest more at home. If you really can't handle it, ask for leave." "I wanted to, but I can't leave," Tang Yuan said. "Let's talk about the situation in Nigeria. I've received information from the intelligence personnel there. The area where Friendship Mining is located has been sealed off by the armed forces of Boca's Sacred Land. Our workers and technicians there are in a very dangerous situation. Currently, the relevant authorities are discussing how to rescue our people there." Tianyin said that the Wanxiang group has bribed the armed forces in the area and even donated to the local mosque. They have a good relationship with the local people. Nothing bad has happened for so many years, but now they suddenly turn against them. "There must be someone behind this," Charlotte said. Tang Yuan said, "You mean the Americans are actually in control of that area?" "It's very likely." Charlotte said, "Another possibility is that the Boca's Sacred Land armed forces already know the value of the mine and are preparing to occupy it and take away the benefits they want. But this possibility is very small, because if even Boca's Sacred Land knows about it, how can the Nigerian government not know about it? If the Nigerian government knows about it, then the government forces will definitely take action. But so far, We haven't received any news about the actions of the Nigerian government forces. I think so too. According to your analysis, the first possibility is more likely. The Americans have already taken control of that area through the hands of Boka's sacred land. Tang Yin looked very angry. They really dare to do anything. They shot down our helicopter and cooperated with terrorists. But on the surface, he still pretends to be sanctimonious, pretending to be righteous. Charlotte put his arm around Tang Yin's waist and said with a smile, "Why are you so angry? You already have a child in your stomach. If you're so angry and agitated, what if it affects the baby?" Tang Yin was still very angry. ISIS is an example. The United States also supported ISIS in the beginning, but how much harm has ISIS brought to the people of the Middle East? The ultimate reason is that the United States wants to control the Middle East. Everything is for the benefit. Okay, don't be angry. I will help you calm down. Charlotte reached out his hand to Tang Yin's chest and gently stroked it. This trick worked. Tang Yin immediately laughed. "Ha, you're so annoying. You're not helping me calm down. You're simply taking advantage of me." "Do you want me to take advantage of you?" Charlotte whispered in her ear. Her ears suddenly turned red, and then she softly replied, At this moment, Shinta Tianyin appeared at the door of the study. She saw Charlotte and Tang Yin hugging each other, and Charlotte's hand was still on Tang Yin's chest. She took 2 steps back, avoiding the door that could directly look into the study. Charlotte and Tang Yin quickly separated. Tang Yin also hurriedly tidied up her wrinkled clothes. Shinta Tianyin stood by the door, biting her cherry lips gently. Her heart was filled with indescribable pain. This kind of happiness should have belonged to her, and only her, but she made the wrong choice. In the study, Charlotte coughed. "Tianyin, what's the matter?" "Dinner is ready. I'm here to call you for dinner." Shinta Tianyin then returned to the door, but she didn't dare to look at Charlotte or Tang Yin, who was standing next to Charlotte. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. "Oh, okay. Let's go for dinner then." Tang Yin said, "Hubby, you go first. I want to talk to Tianyin for a while." You guys talk then." Charlotte left. He was very curious about what Tang Yin and Shinta Tianyin would talk about, but he didn't try to see through their conversation. He had the ability to do that, but he didn't want to. Everyone should have their own private space, and his wife was no exception. In the study, the 2 women faced each other, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Tang Yin broke the silence. "Tianyin, are you okay?" Shinta Tianyin smiled bitterly. "What could happen to me? I'm fine, don't worry. The divorce with Charlotte was the hardest, but I got through it. When I came to you that time, I promised you that we would help each other. If there's anything you need me to do, just let me know. If I can help you, I will definitely help you," Tang Yin said. Shinta Tianyin looked at Tang Yin. "Do you mean that if I want to marry into this family, you will help me?" Tang Yin nodded. "I will agree, and I will persuade Charlotte, if you want." Shinta Tianyin shook her head. "I can guess how you married Charlotte. It's not easy for you, so don't worry about my affairs. You know very well that even if you agree, there are 4 other women in front of you. It's not easy for you to integrate into this family. Don't make trouble with them because of me. I don't want to destroy Charlotte's family. I'm really happy for you when I see you so happy now. But you..." Tang Yin didn't expect Shinta Tianyin to refuse her help. Shinta Tianyin said, "What I want is different from you. You really don't have to worry about me. I also thank you for your kindness." Tang Yin sighed. "Okay, but my promise is always valid. If you need my help, you can come to me." "Okay, thank you. Let's go eat," Shinta Tianyin said. There was one more person in the dining room. It was Liang Xiao's father, Liang Zhengchun. Liang Zhengchun was holding Liang Jiayu, and the grandfather and grandson were happy. "Jiayu, when you grow up, Grandpa will teach you Wing Chun, okay?" Liang Zhengchun said with a smile, and his eyes were full of expectation. Liang Jiayu slapped Liang Zhengchun's mouth, and then grabbed Liang Zhengchun's beard and pulled it hard. "Ouch, ouch!" Liang Zhengchun cried in pain. Liang Xiao came over and gently patted Liang Jiayu's small butt. "Jiayu, let go of Grandpa's beard. Hurry up, or I'll hit you." Liang Jiayu still grabbed Liang Jingchuan's beard and cried, "Ah-da-da-da-da." Liang Xiao's forehead was full of black lines. Liang Zhengchun laughed and said, "Jiayu, well done. Continue." Liang Xiao gave Liang Zhengchun a supercilious look. "You're really spoiling the child. If you spoil him, I won't let you. Your mother is so long-winded. Let's go to play." Liang Zhengchun held Liang Jiayu, picked up his bottle, and went out. Charlotte just came in. "Master, why don't you eat?" "I'm not hungry. I'll take Jiayu out to play for a while. You eat, don't worry about us." Liang Zhengchun carried Liang Jiayu out. "Where are Yu Yin and Shinatianin?" Fan Fan asked. "They're behind. I'll walk faster," Charlotte said. "Then I'll get you some rice." Jiang Rui went to get rice. Fan Fan said, "There's still no news from my side. The military officer station at the embassy took some people there, but there's still no news. We don't have a military base overseas. This situation makes us very passive." Xiao Lei sighed. "I don't think they'll ever come back. Who dares to do that?" Fan Fan couldn't believe Charlotte's statement. Charlotte said, "If the United States wants to block the news from Nigeria, the simplest and most effective way is to silence them. They bully us because we don't have a military base overseas, so we can't protect our interests overseas. I guess on the surface, Boca's sacred land is in control of that area, but there must be the most elite special forces of the United States in that area. If that's the case, they're really lawless." Fan Fan said angrily, "There's actually only one kind of law in this world, and that's the fist. When the fist is strong to a certain extent, no law can restrain him. This is true for people, and even more so for countries," Charlotte said. At that moment, Tang Yuyin and Shinta Tianin walked in. Let's eat. Jiang Rui said, "Let's not talk about those unhappy things. If we don't eat, the food will get cold." Only then did the family begin to eat dinner. After dinner, the whole family played with the children in the living room. Shinta Tianin also joined in. She liked children, especially Charlotte's children. Do. Charlotte's satellite phone suddenly rang. The call was from Giovanna. "Boss, the brothers from the Rescue Association have received some information." It was Giovanna's voice. "Friendship Mining has been surrounded by the United States Special Forces, but there are armed men from Boca, sacred land, on the periphery. The Americans have now reached an agreement with Boca's sacred land. Is there any other news?" A brother who came to inquire about the information said that he has a brother who works at Friendship Mining. He said that rare metals were really dug out there. "The appearance of the Americans there is proof," Giovanna said. "I got it. Make the arrangements." "I'm with Nigeria," Charlotte said. "Okay, I'll make the arrangements now." Giovanna hung up. Liang Xiao walked over and said in surprise, "Hubby, you're going to Nigeria? That place is in chaos. It'll be very dangerous for you to go there. How can we not worry?" Fan Fan also came over and said, "Hubby, can you not go? I know that this rare metal is very important to our country. We can't let you bear all the danger alone. You have the whole country behind you. Give me a little more time. We won't find a solution." Charlotte said, "There's no way to think about this. We don't have a military base overseas. Our troops can't reach there at all. The only thing I can think of is a diplomatic protest. No, the people won't care about it at all. They only believe in fists, so I'll give them fists." Long Bing said, "Take me with you. I'll go with you." Liang Xiao also said, "I'll go too." Charlotte said, "What are you thinking about? The children are still so young. Are you willing to leave them?" Long Bing's gaze shifted to Xiao Long's body, and her gaze immediately became gentle. Although Liang Xiao couldn't see Liang Jiayu, when she thought of her children, her heart was filled with bittersweet feelings. She couldn't make the decision to go to Nigeria at all. Charlotte said, "Don't worry. If I can come back from Area 51, I can come back for Nigeria." Long Bing and Liang Xiao didn't speak. They knew that they couldn't persuade Charlotte to change his mind. Chapter 1172. The night was hazy. Tang Yuyin and Charlotte took Shinatianin to the door of a guest room. Tang Yuyin said, Tianyin, this is your room. If you need anything, just tell me. Shinta Tianyin nodded and said, thank you. She looked at Charlotte and hesitated to speak. Tang Yuyin said with a smile, you guys talk for a while. I'll go back to the room first. Yuyin, you. For some reason, Charlotte felt a little guilty. Tang Yuyin looked back and smiled. What's the big deal about talking for a while? You haven't seen each other for so long. There must be something you want to talk about. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Go back to the room first. I'll come back later. Okay. Tang Yuyin responded and left. Shinta Tianyin said, she has changed. A woman will change a lot after she gets married. I'm really happy for her that she can go back to your side and get the happiness she wants. Charlotte's heart was filled with bitterness. He knew that he didn't have much time left, but he didn't dare to tell them. Now he had everything he wanted. He had a group of beautiful wives, and his children were very smart. Almost everyone envied him, and he looked very happy. But that was only what others could see. Who knew that he would suffer less every day? Who knew how he felt when he had to force a smile in the face of death? However, he would not tell Shinta Tianyin this secret. Charlotte about that. Shinta Tianyin led the topic to what she wanted to know the answer to. Charlotte came to his senses and said, that. Tianyin, give me a little more time. I'll give you an answer. All right, I'll wait for your reply. Shinta Tianyin's eyes were filled with sadness. When are you leaving for Nigeria? Charlotte said, tomorrow night, Giovanna and the others should have arranged everything. I want to go too, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte was stunned. He didn't expect Shinta Tianyin to have such an idea. Shinta Tianyin wasn't a warrior. He hadn't even had the experience of fighting, let alone using a gun to fight. She was the richest woman in China with a net worth of hundreds of billions. Yet she wanted to go to a war-torn place like Nigeria with him. She was no longer playing by the rules. How can we do that? No. Why would you have such an idea? Charlotte flatly refused. Shinta Tianyin stared straight at Charlotte. I'm the owner of Friendship Mining. The Americans are robbing my mine. Of course, I have to go and take the necessary measures. I'm sure that the American Special Forces who invaded Friendship Mining have orders from the U.S. military to kill. What can you do even if you go? Argue with them? They won't even give you a chance to speak. Once your whereabouts are locked by them, a missile can kill you, Charlotte said. Shinta Tianyin didn't have a trace of fear. She said, what about you? You see, it's the same danger. Why do you still want to go? You don't have to go. You can leave this matter to the country. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I've already told you the reason. Our country has no troops stationed overseas. It's beyond our reach, and we can't manage things over there. It wasn't easy for us to destroy the U.S.'s air superiority. If we let them win again, their strategy will be more aggressive, and war may break out. I don't care about national affairs. I only do what I want to do. Tianyin, Shinta Tianyin said, I know that Nigeria is chaotic and dangerous, but you will protect me, won't you? Charlotte was speechless. He would definitely protect her, but once the war started, she would become a burden. Bullets didn't have eyes, and the CIB killers were cold-blooded and ruthless. He could guarantee his survival on the battlefield, but what about her? On the battlefield, even if he protected her, her life was not guaranteed. I know what you're thinking. It's not that I'm unreasonable. Shinta Tianyin's voice was full of sadness. Actually, it doesn't matter if I don't want that mine. I don't care at all. Don't you understand why I want to go with you? I just want to have a trip with you that I won't forget for a lifetime. I don't have the face to be with you like they do. I just want a trip that I can remember for a lifetime. Okay? Charlotte was silent. It was difficult for him to make this decision because it concerned her life and death. And Shinta Tianyin wanted to say something, but stopped. Her ears were slightly red. And a child. She wanted it the most. A thrilling trip that she could remember for a lifetime. A child. This was her infatuated wish. For this wish, she put her life and death behind her. For a weak woman to make such a decision, from her point of view, how much courage did it take? Shinta Tianyin's eyes were moist. Charlotte, you once gave me a chance to choose between you and the Wanxiang group. I chose the Wanxiang group. After that, I lived a miserable life. Not a single day was a happy one. Please give me another chance. Let me put everything down. Let me choose again, okay? I want to experience those terrible things with you so that I can have a good memory, okay? She had already done so much. How could he have the heart to reject her? Charlotte sighed. Okay, but if you want to go, I have to rearrange it. Also, from now on, you have to leave your phone here and keep it charged for 24 hours. Why? Those 4 Americans hacked into your company's system. There's no reason for them not to locate your phone. Leave your phone at my house and don't answer any calls. They will think that you have been hiding in my house and they don't dare to come here. Charlotte said, I understand. Leave the phone charged and don't answer any calls. Shinta Tianyin repeated and then asked, What else do I need to do? Charlotte said, I'll do the rest. I'll find you when I'm ready. Okay. Shinta Tianyin's face finally showed a trace of smile. Then you rest. I should go back too, Charlotte said. Shinta Tianyin was still looking at Charlotte and did not turn around to enter the house. Charlotte smiled a little awkwardly and turned to leave. He went to the biggest room. As soon as he entered the door, he saw 5 women chatting together. Jiang Rui was also holding a tablet and searching for news related to Nigeria. They were obviously talking about his trip to Nigeria. From their solemn expressions, they were not at ease at all. Charlotte closed the door and walked towards them. He said with a smile, Isn't it just a trip? What's there to worry about? Don't worry. I'll be fine. This trip to Nigeria is far worse than the last trip to the United States. I'll be fine. Liang Xiao sighed. Boca's Sacred Land is a ferocious terrorist organization. They don't play by the rules. You've never fought with a terrorist organization before, so I'm worried about you. Yes. If you encounter a roadside bomb, or even a suicide bomber, what will you do? Long Bing's eyes were also full of worry. Honey, can you not go? Jiang Rui's tone was almost pleading. Jiang, he is still so young. If you go, She did not want to say the inauspicious words. Fanfan wanted to say something, but stopped. It was obvious that she was also very worried about Charlotte. Tang Yuyin's eyes were also full of worry, but she did not persuade Charlotte to give up the plan to go to Nigeria. Among the 5 women in this room, she had worked the hardest to become Charlotte's wife, so she also cherished it the most. She did not want to cause any trouble for Charlotte. She always wanted to give the best of herself to Charlotte, of course, including her character. Charlotte smiled bitterly. What's wrong with you guys? I'm just going abroad, but it's like I'm going to die. Don't worry. Please don't worry. I'll be fine. I'm not alone. I have the Zodiac Squad and the rescue group set up by Giovanna and the others. There are a lot of people in the rescue group in Africa. I've already called Prince Khalifa and asked him to send a batch of weapons made by the Rema group by air. When I go there, there will be an army waiting for me. Are you still worried? Hearing him say that, the women relaxed a little. In fact, they knew very well what kind of man Xiaolei was. Not only was it difficult for him to change his mind once he had decided on something, but their man was an out-and-out murderous demon king. The number of enemies who had died in his hands was uncountable. For such a man, wouldn't it be as easy for him to go to the battlefield as if he were shopping? Sigh. Liang Xiao sighed. Okay. I won't persuade you. You won't listen to me. We just hope that you can be careful. Be more careful. Think about us and the children. Okay? Charlotte walked over and hugged her waist. Do you think I can bear to leave you and the children? I can't bear to do that either, but there are some things that must be dealt with and some enemies must be killed. Otherwise, they will be a threat to you. Hubby, when are you leaving? Long Bing asked. Charlotte also hugged Long Bing's waist in his arms. I'll leave tomorrow night. Giovanna and the others are already making arrangements. I see. Fan bit her lip. Then I won't go back. Xia Fan is already asleep anyway. Jiang Rui also said Xia Jianghe is also asleep. I won't go back either. Tang Yuyin was even more direct. She unzipped her coat and threw it on a rack. Then let's sleep together. Charlotte was speechless. Without her coat, Tang Yuyin was all snow white. Her towering breasts trembled under the light, as if they were going to jump out of her bra at any time. That was how it was supposed to be. Tang Yuyin walked toward Charlotte. She had a smile on her lips, but there was a provocative look in her eyes. She reached behind her back. She said that she was going to sleep, but no one was sleeping. The whole room was very lively and chaotic. The man was going to go abroad to fight, and the women wanted him to relax. So one by one, they rushed to serve him. They wanted to leave him with beautiful memories so that he would remember their kindness, even when he was abroad, and come back as soon as possible. Only Xia Lei would be able to enjoy such a blessing. In another room, Shintu Tianin, who was wearing a purple bra, was lying on the bed. She looked at her phone that was charging and was lost in thought. She was secretly thinking about a question. Which woman's room is he in now? Tang Yian's? Liang Xiao's? Or Long Bing's? Or, no matter which one she thought of, her heart ached. Chapter 1173. The next evening, 4 blonde Italian beauties and a large group of people with different skin colors boarded a private plane. The private plane took off and headed straight for Africa. As soon as the private plane took off, 4 white men sat in a Ford sedan outside the airport. One of them picked up a satellite phone and made a call. Charlotte's people have boarded the plane, but I don't see Charlotte or Shinatianin, the chairman of the Vientiane group. Got it, but Charlotte is definitely on that plane. He's good at makeup, but it doesn't matter. At the Nigerian airport, our people will have a facial recognition system to find him and kill him. A man's voice came from the satellite phone. Shintatienin's phone signal has been staying at Charlotte's house. Until now, her phone has received a total of 18 calls, but she hasn't picked up any of them. The white man said, "Don't worry about it. Continue to monitor the Vientiane group. As soon as Shintatienin comes out from Charlotte's house, you know what to do." Got it. The white man hung up. The white man in the driver's seat started the car and drove along the road. A black sedan came from behind and drove side by side with the Ford sedan. The white man driving the Ford became vigilant. He glanced at the black sedan next to him. He saw a man in a black robe sitting in the passenger seat. His head was covered by a hood, so he couldn't see the man's face at all. Suddenly, a large truck rushed out from an intersection and rammed into the Ford sedan. The large truck, weighing dozens of tons, instantly deformed the Ford sedan. However, the driver of the large truck didn't stop. Instead, he stepped on the accelerator and flattened the Ford sedan. The black sedan continued to drive forward. The man in the black robe, sitting in the passenger seat, snorted softly. At the same time, a young man and woman boarded an ordinary passenger plane to Moscow. The young man had dark skin and a face full of pimples. He looked very ugly. The woman's skin could be considered fair, but her face was ordinary, and her looks were average. The young man and woman looked like a pair of university students who had gone to Moscow to study. But that was just an illusion. The young man's identity was Charlotte, and the young woman's identity was Shintatienin. Charlotte's own plane was flying to Africa. Giovanna and the other 3, as well as the brothers and sisters of the rescue group, were on that plane. However, that plane was definitely not flying to Nigeria. Its destination was the Republic of Chad, which bordered Nigeria. They will cross into Nigeria from Chad and arm their brothers and sisters in Africa. This was also to prevent the possibility that the U.S. might send fighter jets to intercept the plane or simply launch missiles at the plane and directly shoot it down. These were all arranged by Charlotte. He asked Giovanna and the others to take the brothers and sisters of the rescue group to Chad, while he and Shintatienin flew to Russia first. From Russia, they would take a connecting flight to Cameroon, and from Cameroon, they would enter Nigeria. The members of the Zodiac team were the first group of soldiers. Giovanna and the armed forces of the rescue group were the second group of soldiers, while he and Shintatienin were the third group of soldiers. The 3 groups of soldiers would enter Nigeria from 3 different directions at different times. The CIA and the Pentagon would never have thought that Charlotte would make such an arrangement. The plane to Russia soon took off. Shintatienin looked at the clouds outside the window. At that moment, she had a very strange feeling. She felt like she was a bird, breaking free from layers of bondage, flying to the blue sky and white clouds, flying to freedom, flying to the happiness she longed for. Charlotte said, "There are only clouds outside the window. Do you like white clouds?" Shintatienin came back to her senses. Her gaze moved from the window to Charlotte's face. She smiled. Do you still remember what I like? Charlotte didn't even need to think. Your favorite color is black. Your favorite food is French steak. Your favorite book is Dream of the Red Chamber. And your favorite movie star is Marilyn Monroe, right? Shinta Tianyin smiled. So you still remember? Do you still remember what I like? Charlotte asked her. Shinta Tianyin thought for a moment. Well, beautiful women. Charlotte was speechless. I'm just kidding. Shinta Tianyin gently punched Charlotte. Your favorite color is white. Your favorite food is sweet and sour pork. And your favorite movie star is Wang Baoqiang. Then she leaned close to Charlotte's ear and whispered, You like me wearing white translucent underwear the most. Am I right? Charlotte smiled and nodded. He couldn't help but think of Shinta Tianyin wearing white translucent underwear. That kind of hazy beauty and temptation always made him excited. Do they wear that kind of underwear for you? Shinta Tianyin asked. Them? They were obviously referring to Charlotte's 5 wives. Charlotte smiled bitterly. You're not a woman who would ask such a question. Why are you asking me such a question today? Shinta Tianyin said. Your wife is not by your side. What are you afraid of? Charlotte bit the bullet and said, They're all different. Everyone has their own favorite color and style. There are all kinds of colors. Your favorite color is white. Why don't you let them wear it for you? Charlotte said awkwardly. How can I make such a request? When we were still husband and wife, you always let me wear it for you. Why? Charlotte was speechless. Yes, why? Charlotte didn't know why himself, but he admitted that when he and Shinta Tianyin were still husband and wife, he liked to see her wearing white translucent underwear the most, and Shinta Tianyin always satisfied his needs in that regard. The past was like smoke. The absurd and not absurd were all in the past. Talking about the past now would give people a feeling of going back in time. You still have feelings for me, don't you? You made such a request to me, but you didn't make such a request to them. That's because I'm the most special one in your heart, right? Shinta Tianyin's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. Tianyin. Charlotte was also touched by her. After all, she was the woman he loved deeply and his first wife. Although they were divorced, how could he completely forget her? She asked him if he still had her in his heart. The answer was yes, but he couldn't say it. Seeing Charlotte's silence, Shinta Tianyin turned her head in the direction of the window, and then she reached out to wipe the corner of her eyes. Those were her tears. Charlotte's heart had never been made of iron. At this moment, his heart had been melted by Shinta Tianyin. He reached out to help Shinta Tianyin wipe the tears from the corner of her eyes, and then said softly, I promise you. Don't cry, okay? Shinta Tianyin turned her head, but her tears flowed even faster. Is what you said true? Charlotte said, Of course it's true. Well, have I ever lied to you? There was still more than a year left. Since she wanted a child, he would give her a child. There was nothing wrong with that. Shinta Tianyin moaned and buried her head in Charlotte's shoulder. Charlotte reached out and gently stroked her black hair. Don't cry. If you cry again, others will think that I'm bullying you. I like being bullied by you, Shinta Tianyin said while crying. A Russian sitting next to him looked at Charlotte and said in Russian, What a bastard. He made his woman cry. A Russian woman next to him also said in Russian, Isn't it said that Chinese men love women the most? It seems that this saying is a lie. The man and the woman thought that Charlotte didn't understand Russian, so they were so unscrupulous. However, Charlotte didn't care about the two Russians. He just looked at them. The Russian stared at Charlotte fiercely, his eyes full of provocation. Charlotte smiled bitterly and looked away. But at this moment, a terrible desire suddenly emerged in his heart. He wanted to find something delicious in the Russian's head. Charlotte's eyes moved to the Russian again. This time, he felt that the mysterious energy in his body had suddenly awakened. There was also a very strange energy field in his body. This energy field was like a black hole, slowly rotating to devour something. Charlotte suddenly realized what had happened. He got up and left, at the same time suppressing the evil thought with his mind. Shinta Tianyin was enjoying the familiar smell of Charlotte's body, as well as the feeling of warmth with him. When Charlotte suddenly got up and left, her heart suddenly felt empty, as if something was missing. She looked at Charlotte and said nervously, "Where are you going?" Charlotte said, "I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back soon." He didn't dare to stay. After saying this, he strode to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Charlotte turned on the faucet and poured cold water on his head and face. The stimulation of the cold water made him feel better. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw a pair of terrible eyes. That pair of eyes was like a black hole in the universe, able to suck and devour everything that came close to him. So, Zhu Xianwei eats like this. This is simply killing people with a single thought. Xia Lei was shocked in his heart. In the past, he didn't understand how Zhu Xianwei ate those people's brains. Now he understood, but he was also afraid. He also remembered the suggestion that Zhu Xianwei gave him. She asked him to eat the last AE capsule and then eat a lot. In this way, he could become very strong and even fight with the prehistoric one. However, if the way to obtain power was to kill innocent people, what was the difference between him and those demons from hell? In any case, he couldn't do that kind of thing. If a person ate people, then he wasn't human. Actually, it wasn't that he hadn't thought about eating some heinous people, but every time he had such a thought, he would blame himself, and it would be very painful. Because he knew very well that once he started, he wouldn't be able to stop. Just like Zhu Xianwei, his appetite would get bigger and bigger, and his desires would get stronger and stronger. In the end, he wouldn't be able to tell who was good and who was bad. In his eyes, there was only food. However, as the comprehensive evolution started and deepened, his desire and need to eat would become stronger and stronger. Could he restrain himself? He didn't know at all. He couldn't see the ray of sunshine that belonged to him. After a full 10 minutes, Charlotte suppressed the desire to eat people and returned to normal. He left the bathroom and returned to his seat. Shinta Tianyin said with concern, "Why were you gone for so long? I wanted to come and find you." Charlotte revealed a smile. "I don't know what's going on. I have a stomachache. Does it hurt? Do you want me to help you rub it?" Shinta Tianyin said. Her voice was very gentle. Charlotte said, "I'm fine. Go to sleep. We'll be in Moscow after a nap." Shinta Tianyin leaned her head on Charlotte's shoulder again. She had a good dream. Chapter 1174. One day later, in Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon, a taxi left the city and drove west along the Sena River. The bustling city was left behind and gradually disappeared into the distance. Shinta Tianyin turned her head and looked at Yaoundé from the back window of the taxi. She looked a little reluctant. "Are we leaving just like that?" Charlotte grabbed her hand. "I know you want to see it, but our itinerary has been arranged. If we change it rashly, it may bring some bad changes." Shinta Tianyin said, "We are going now." Charlotte gently held her hand, hinting that she should not speak carelessly. Shinta Tianyin had never gone through any spy training courses, but she was very smart. Charlotte squeezed her hand, and she closed her mouth. She observed the black guy who was driving out of the corner of her eye and began to be a little vigilant and guarded. The black guy who was driving said in French, "Sir, where are you from?" This used to be a French colony, and the official language was French and English. Charlotte also said in French, "We are from Korea. We like Cameroon, and we are here for a vacation. Why don't you live in Yaoundé, but leave? I hate cities. I like the primitive scenery. I made a route for myself before I came here, and I will strictly follow my travel plan. I recommend you to go to the Pygmy Cave and the National Botanical Garden. You will like it." "Haha, thank you." Charlotte chatted with the black guy, and Shinta Tianyin leaned her head on Charlotte's shoulder and watched him chat. Charlotte could speak several languages. She knew this long before they were in a relationship, but when she saw Charlotte speak French so fluently, her heart was filled with admiration and a trace of pride. The taxi continued to drive forward. A round moon rose into the sky, bringing some light to the darkness that had just shrouded. With the help of the moonlight, they could see the rushing Sena River and a village by the river. The village was called By the River, a name evidently derived from its position on the banks of the Sena. The riverside village was Charlotte's first stop in Africa. He had never been to this place, and he couldn't even find this small village on the map. However, This small village was a secret base of the Eighth Society in Cameroon. This time, he came as an observer for the Rescue Association's headquarters. Giovanna's explanation was to send someone to check on the situation and give some money to help the poor people in need. Therefore, even the members of the Rescue Association in the small village by the river did not know Charlotte's true identity. They thought that he was just an observer. A few minutes later, the taxi stopped at the entrance of Riverside Village. Charlotte paid the fare and took out a large suitcase from the trunk. This suitcase did not contain his clothes, but his equipment. An XL 2500 sniper rifle, a Gale assault rifle, a Viper pistol, some ammunition, his hacking computer, and a toolbox for makeup. As soon as the taxi left, a few people walked into the village. They were all black people. Some were young, some were older, and there was also a black girl who looked very young. These black people were all wearing cheap clothes, and they did not have a pair of decent shoes on their feet. They were all wearing plastic slippers, and some of the soles were almost worn out. The brothers and sisters of the Rescue Association were the people at the bottom of the world. This was true. However, it was precisely these poor people who suffered from poverty, hunger, and disease that were also the most grateful people in the world. When a few black people walked towards Charlotte and Shintatianin, they spoke in Yandé. This was an indigenous language that Charlotte had never learned at all, so even he could not understand it. However, he did not know why. In the face of the indigenous language that he had never heard before, his brain was also interpreting the expressions, body movements, eyes, and so on. However, the interpretation was not successful this time. He only guessed that these black people were talking about him, the newly arrived observer, and perhaps Shintatianin, who was next to him, but he could not be sure. Charlotte thought to himself, Zhu Xianyue said that she knows all the languages in the world, and there are more than 1,000 languages in the world. How could she study and learn so many languages? Some indigenous languages are not very useful at all. But if she did not master it through learning, how did she master it? When this question came up, a keyword suddenly appeared in his brain: thought control. Zhu Xianyue had once controlled Peaceful and made her create scenes that she had never seen before. She made Peaceful go from the sanatorium in China to India to work for her. There was also Hornick, who worked on Wall Street. After being deeply hypnotized by her, he knew that he was still a puppet. There was also the machine gunner in Area 51. He operated a heavy machine gun and fired at his comrades before committing suicide. These were all thought control, and the premise of thought control was to enter the other party's mind. The current level of technology in medicine was far from reaching the level of controlling a person's mind, but in the eyes of Zhu Xianyue and the Black-Robed Man, it was an easy thing to do. Whether it was Zhu Xianyue or Prehistoric One, they could easily intervene in the target's mind to achieve the goal of controlling or even destroying the target. How could Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric One do it? The reason was very simple. In essence, Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric One were pure energy bodies that had completed the ultimate evolution. The energy of Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric One could resonate with the human brain, and this kind of intervention had an absolute advantage of suppression. The brain of an ordinary person and the thoughts produced by the brain could not compete at all. So, if Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric One could even easily control the human brain, how could they not understand what memories were stored in the human brain, what memories were stored in it, and what they wanted to say? After understanding this point, Xiao Lei came to a conclusion. Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric were the only ones who didn't need to learn any language. They could master that language, and all they had to do was read the Queen Zerg's brain directly. As for him, he could also do it. As long as he found the right method and practiced a lot, he could do what Zhu Xianyue and Prehistoric One could do. These thoughts seemed to be a lot and very complicated, but in Charlotte's mind, it only took a few seconds. The black men came over, and one of them, a middle-aged man, said in French, "Hello, sir. May I ask who you are?" His French was actually not standard. Charlotte held out his hand to him. "I'm Song Jiang. The headquarters sent me here." He then introduced Shintatianin. This is my colleague, Zhang Wei. It's really you. It's great that you can come. Thank you, thank you. The middle-aged man who led the group shook hands with Charlotte and then with Shinda Tianyin. He introduced himself. My name is Syed. Welcome. Charlotte said, this is not the place to talk. Can you take us to the place where they live? Please follow me. Syed led the way. Charlotte and Shinda Tianyin followed the black men into the village. Riverside Village was a poor village. The houses were all low mud houses with thatched roofs. There was not even a piece of glass in the windows. Some of the houses were covered with discarded clothes, and some were even covered with woven bags. The whole village looked very shabby. There was nothing modern or fashionable about it. The black men talked in Yaoundé as they walked. Charlotte still couldn't understand them. He had never come into contact with the indigenous language before, so he couldn't read their lips or anything. But this time, he began to focus his mind and awaken the mysterious energy in his body. The mysterious energy in his body was soon awakened, and an energy field appeared on his body. The energy field was invisible to the naked eye, and scientific instruments couldn't detect it, but he could clearly sense its existence. He tried to control the energy field to approach the black girl, because she was the most lively and talkative among the black men. However, the energy field on his body didn't move toward the black girl at all. However, Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric one could obviously do it. If the energy field on his body was compared to a car, then he hadn't found the key to start the car yet. Another problem was that he wasn't sure if the car had enough fuel to start it. Woof, woof, woof. A big black dog suddenly rushed out from behind a wall. Shinda Tianyin was startled. She screamed and jumped behind Charlotte. Charlotte was really trying to read people's minds, and his whole mind was on it. He didn't expect such a situation to happen at all. In the end, when Shinda Tianyin hid behind him and grabbed his sleeve, the energy field on his body had already wrapped around Shinda Tianyin. In that instant, a large amount of familiar but unfamiliar information appeared in his brain. Among the information were memories of Shinda Tianyin when she was young. She was skipping rope with other children. She carried a school bag to school and wore a bright red scarf around her neck. She was studying overseas and stood on the podium to give a speech. The audience applauded warmly. A blond boy chased her and gave her roses. She politely declined and didn't look at him. She stood by the bed and looked at Shun Turin, who was lying on the bed, and quietly cried. There were also memories of her in him. The first time she met him, the first time she kissed him, the first time she met him, the first time she met him, the divorce with him. There are also memories related to the Wanxiang Corporation, a few main accounts, the most important core industries, the most trustworthy and some suspicious people. These memories and information surged into Charlotte's mind like a tidal wave. His emotions were uncontrollably infected, especially when the memories of their divorce surfaced in his mind. He felt his heart break. When Shinda Tianyin divorced him, he was in great pain. It took him a long time to walk out of that pain. But now, that pain appeared again, and it was even more intense than before. Sorrow overwhelmed him, and he couldn't help but tear up. Woof, woof, woof. The black dog rushed to Charlotte's side and opened its mouth to bite Charlotte's calf. At that moment, a relatively simple memory and information appeared in Charlotte's mind. This information belonged to the big black dog. Its memory was black and white, without color. There were many bones, and the person it wanted to bite the most, and its favorite dog. When the black dog's memory and information mixed into his mind, Charlotte had the illusion that he was also a dog. The black dog didn't bite Charlotte in the end. When it rushed to Charlotte's side, its attitude took a 180-degree turn. It wagged its tail at Charlotte. Woof, woof, woof. Woof, woof, woof. A voice suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. Where do you live? How about we be friends? I'm the only dog in this village. It's so boring. Chapter 1175. Piss off. Syed snapped and waved his arm. The black dog was startled. It turned around and ran away. Charlotte could still hear the voice of the black dog in his mind. Friend, I'll be going first. See you later. Charlotte was speechless. He had turned into a dog by accident. Are you all right? Shinta Tianyin asked with concern. Charlotte finally collected his thoughts. He said, I'm fine, I just thought that dog is a bit special. Shinta Tianyin said, I don't think it's special. It's just ugly. Charlotte smiled. Let's go. It's just a dog. The energy field around him disappeared, and he returned to normal. What happened just now caught him off guard, and he was truly startled. However, he had learned a lot too. He finally figured out how Zhu Xianyue was able to control people's minds, and how she was able to retrieve information from a specific target's prison. Even though he was not as strong as Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric Only One, he could still do it. Syed brought Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin to a low mud hut. Mr. Song, this is your room. The conditions here are terrible. I'll have to trouble you to stay here for 2 nights. It was indeed 2 nights. Charlotte had decided to stay here after careful consideration by the system. When Giovanna contacted the people here, she also told them to stay here for 2 nights. Charlotte said, You're welcome. It's good enough to have a place to stay. Syed added, Miss Zhang, your room is on the other side. Please follow me. Shinta Tianyin did not understand French at all. She looked at Charlotte curiously. What is he saying to me? Is that so? Charlotte said, He said your room is on the other side. He wants to show you around. Shinta Tianyin frowned. I don't want to see it. I want to stay with you. Charlotte smiled. Are you really going to sleep with me? Shinta Tianyin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. You're bullying me again. When are you going to stop? Charlotte stopped joking with her. He said to Syed, Cancel the other room. She's my woman. She'll stay with me. Syed was startled. He said with a smile, Sure, you can stay here. I'll ask someone to prepare dinner and a welcome ceremony. The girls in the village will dance for you. I hope you like it. Xiaolei said, Thank you. He did not want to attend the ceremony, nor did he want to watch the girls dance. However, he had just arrived, so he did not want to make the atmosphere awkward. He was already thinking of an excuse to make Syed cancel the dance. See you later, Mr. Song, Miss Zhang. Syed left with his men. Charlotte pushed the door open. A musty smell assaulted his nostrils. The room in his line of sight was dark and dirty. There was only a simple wooden bed and a simple table in the room. There was not even a stool, let alone a clean bathroom and bathroom. Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin frowned when they saw the place. They thought it would be a simple room, but they did not expect it to be so unhygienic. Xiaolei could still barely endure it, but Shinta Tianyin was different. She was a woman who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, and she was now the richest woman in China. When had she ever suffered like this since she was young? Not to mention letting her live in such a place. She probably hadn't even seen such a terrible room before. Tianyin, if you don't like it, we can stay somewhere else, Charlotte said. Where are we going to stay? Shinta Tianyin asked. Charlotte thought for a moment. We can go to Yandé and find a hotel to stay in. Shinta Tianyin looked like she was tempted, but she shook her head in the blink of an eye. No, you've already planned everything. It might be bad if you change it. It's good to stay in a hotel in Yandé, but there are many people in those places, and there are surveillance cameras. It would be terrible if someone found out. It's fine. This place is not bad. Let's stay here. She was indeed a smart woman. She had learned some counter-espionage knowledge along the way. She knew it was not safe to stay in a place with many people and surveillance cameras. Charlotte didn't really want to stay in a hotel because it was not safe and it was not his plan. He just considered Shinta Tianyin's feelings. Since she didn't mind, there was no need for him to go to a hotel. Charlotte dragged a large suitcase into the door. He habitually looked for the light switch, but he soon found that there was no light in the room, only a candle. It was placed on the dusty windowsill. Of course, Charlotte's vision was fine, but Shinta Tianyin couldn't see things in the dark like him. She needed the candle. Charlotte lit the candle with a lighter, and the candlelight dispelled the darkness in the room. After lighting the candle, Charlotte went to help Shinta Tianyin with the suitcase. Shinta Tianyin said, I'll do it myself. How can you, a man, do such a thing? It should be done by me, a woman. You go do your thing. You've never done any rough work. Let me do it. I'm not the kind of spoiled woman you think I am. You go and talk about your business. I'll clean up the room. When you come back, you'll live in a clean room. Shinta Tianyin said with a smile. She rolled up her sleeves and prepared to work. Charlotte smiled. Well, I'll go talk to them. I'll be back soon. Go. Don't stay here and hinder me. You'll distract me. Shinta Tianyin pushed Charlotte out of the door and closed it. When the door closed, her brows furrowed again. It was not easy for her to get Charlotte's consent. What she wanted was a clean and comfortable big house with a fragrant bed. Then she would welcome her child there. If there was no such big house, what she wanted was a soft and flat grass, sunny and full of colorful flowers. Then she would welcome her child there. However, the hope was plentiful, but the reality was very harsh. She did not expect to live in such an environment. Although she told Charlotte that she did not care, how could a queen like her not care about such an environment? Besides, she was going to welcome her child there. Forget it, I can't trouble him. I don't want to be a burden to him, thought Shinta Tianyin. She soon felt relieved. She opened her suitcase and took out a set of white translucent underwear. After leaving the room, Charlotte soon found Sayed. He also saw the Rescue Society's church. It could not even be called a church, as it was just an empty, thatched hut. There were a few rows of wooden benches on the ground under the roof. There was also a simple cross made of 2 pieces of wood nailed together. A woman was kneeling in front of the cross, praying. Sayed was wearing a priest's robe and holding a Bible in his hand. He was leading the prayer and blessing the woman. Charlotte stood outside the church and waited for the woman to finish praying and leave before he walked in. Mr. Song, I thought you needed more rest, said Sayed politely. The women and girls are still preparing food and dancing. I think it will take another half an hour. Charlotte said, I'm here to talk to you. What do you want to talk to me about? The conditions here are terrible. Mr. Song, this is not China. It's not easy for us to fill our stomachs here. Many people are still starving in other places. We thank God and the headquarters in China for their help. Please trust us. It will be better in the future. Charlotte said with a smile, I'm not here to check the hygiene. I'm here to help you. I'll give you $1 million to improve the environment here and help the people who need help. Huh? $1 million? Sayed was dumbfounded. Charlotte said, Yes, $1 million, but I need your help too. Mr. Song, what do you need us to do for you? Charlotte said, Find some people and rent a few cars. Pretend to be a group of businessmen going to Nigeria to do business. Find a way to send me to Kano City. Mr. Song, that place is in chaos. Why are you going there? Sayed looked at Charlotte with a strange look. Charlotte drew a cross. The more chaotic the place is, the more people need our help. I'm going there to preach and help the people who need help. Mr. Song, I have to remind you that the people there believe in Islam. If you go there to preach, they might kill you as a heretic. Who will go to hell if I don't? I believe that no matter what religion it is, we should save people from suffering, not create suffering. Don't try to persuade me. I'm carrying out God's will. I don't care about my own life and death. Charlotte looked righteous. Sayed let out a sigh. All right then, I'll make the preparations tomorrow, but what? You need a few cars, but we don't have the money to rent them. Charlotte took out a bank card that he had prepared in advance from his pocket and handed it to Sayed. Go to Yaoundé tomorrow morning and find an industrial and commercial bank in China. You can withdraw $1 million USD at any time. The password for the card is 6/8. Sayed was starting to doubt his life when he casually gave someone $1 million USD with such a simple password. Remember, be careful. Don't let anyone you don't trust know about this. Also, the people you pick better know how to fight. You said it yourself, that place is in chaos. The people you bring must at least know how to shoot, Charlotte said. No problem, I'll make the arrangements now. Sayed was about to leave, but he turned back after taking 2 steps. He said awkwardly, I really have a bad memory. Dinner and the welcome party are about to start. Xiaolei interrupted him. It's more important to get down to business. Cancel the welcome party. Okay? We're servants of God. We don't deserve that kind of luxury. As for food, just ask someone to send some to our rooms. Well, Sayed seemed to be in a difficult position. Xiaolei made the sign of the cross. Lord, please forgive our mistakes. All right, I'll go tell the girls to stop preparing. Sayed left the room. Charlotte smiled. He left the church and returned to the room he and Shinatianin were staying in. As soon as the door opened, Xiaolei was stunned on the spot. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.